there's a lot to talk about. So we need to start this episode 208 of the Current Gen podcast. I'm Tim. We got the whole crew. We got Kyle here, Jeff, Dan. Welcome, everybody. Oh, we have a little, what's his name? Cacatrot? What's that little cactus called again?
Yes, Cacatrot, exactly.
Yeah, that he runs away. I forget what happens if you kill them before they run away. Don't they give you like a ton of gil or something like that if you kill them on time?
So, just real quick, because I can't just let it slide like that. Cactar. It's a cactar.
Oh, it's not Cuctus?
That was Cacatrot for real. I'm thinking Kakarot. Continue.
Yeah, you're thinking there you go. There we go.
Actually, yeah.
Well, so there's different versions of them, but like they shoot like, so there's like the ones that shoot 1,000 needles, 10,000, 100,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're savages. They're little spazzes. They flail about, and then they just like
get something great if you kill them before they run away too, or is that something different?
Well, Final Fantasy VIII, for example, you can do a lot of AP farming. Tim, you can do a lot of AP farming on Cactar Island. Get just a bunch of AP points. So.
By the way, speaking of Final Fantasy VIII. I think it's the least surprising thing ever when Square, whoever was interviewed about this, said, yeah, we'd probably totally overhaul the combat system and the junction system. And it's like, junction. Of course you would. Like you did that with
the one thing everyone doesn't like, except for that one nerd in the message board who's like, the junction system's great. And it's
Dan likes it. Dan likes it.
I actually really enjoy it.
Hey.
Here's the thing. All right. A lot of people like 8. I can attest that because of streaming. The junction system is fine. I just think drawing the magic is really just like obtuse and just like not fun.
Yeah, just drawing. That being said, I mean, when you remake a game, you set the precedent with 7. The game is nothing.
Yeah, no one's expecting you to have the same, unless it's just kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's a facelift update. I hear 9's going to be that. It's more of a facelift than like a remake.
I could see
which is fine because that game,
which is fine, yeah.
Is beautiful still. Like the remaster is lovely. So
and 7 was so bad it needed an overhaul, right, Dan? It really needed it. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, the story needed an overhaul.
Well, visually, yes.
You were saying that 7 is such a bad game. They need to try again.
That's what I've always said.
Remake.
They needed a do-over. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought you were
Square Enix.
implying, and so
Okay. I'm gonna take this sword and just jab it through myself.
This sword for my favorite game ever. Thanks, Tim.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, there's a couple of new things out we'll talk about, but I wanted to talk first about really our quick hits, like anything and everything you're playing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get through all games we're playing, both old and new. Any headlines? There's been a couple of interesting things announced this week, and then we're gonna wrap up the show with one of our hype segments. We've essentially done this as separate standalone videos we put up on YouTube before. We're just going to do it as part of our episode this week because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is arriving this week, and we just want to...
Wait, we're hyping Final Fantasy?
We're going to hype it.
That's what we're doing?
We're doing.
It needs it, yeah. It needs specifically our bump, the current gen bump.
I just want to thank you guys. Right. Thank you for this. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So let's do quick hits first. We usually wrap up with this, but I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys have been playing outside of new stuff. We'll start with that this week. So I'll kick it off. I tried a demo for a game called Storm Edge that I had downloaded but hadn't tried yet. And it's got cool pixel art. If you check out any videos from it, it's kind of an ARPG, that kind of overhead view a little bit. So it's pretty fun, but I don't know. It's just for the demo is it's a very not a chunky slice, very narrow slice. So I don't really know how all the different classes will play and all that, but it's fine. It's pretty interesting. I like the art style. I like the pixel art style.
I like this.
Have it downloaded.
Yeah. So that one's okay. I did get stuck on that. There was a boss that took me like 8 tries to beat, and I was like, I think I stink at this. I don't know if the demo's too hard. I don't know. It was just one of those moments where you're like, this is a little annoying. Like, I don't know if I want to buy your game. Your boss is too hard. But anyway, so I played a little bit of that. That one's not too bad. I actually just downloaded one that I was hoping to play before we recorded. Didn't get a chance to. It's a demo for a game called Welcome to Paradise, but it's a Z instead of the S. It comes out this coming week, and there's a demo for it.
Is it a zombie game?
It's a zombie game. You get it, Kyle.
It's got Z in it.
Got Z in it.
So it looks more like a lighthearted.
That's cool.
I think it's a action.
Some
management elements to it where like you actually capture zombies and get them to fight and work and farm for you as well, in addition to like exploring and fighting.
You're enslaving zombies and okay, I'm here for it.
Yeah, between this and Power World, we're slavery's
well,
cool.
yeah, they're making really good slave owners out of us this year.
Yeah,
Video games.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the demo is pretty chunky. It's like 22 gigs or something. So I'm not sure if that's just because the assets are like really high resolution or something, or if it's a lot of the game. I don't know. A lot of like FMV, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'll try that one out and let you know how it is. And last but not least, I put a few more hours into Banishers Ghost of New Eden this week. I talked about it really briefly last week because I just barely played the opening before we recorded. But I put a few more hours into it this week. And the best comparison I could think of for this game, now I never played Vampire. So I've heard a lot of people say if you liked Vampire, there's some similarities that you can draw between the two, like the environments and the combat, how it's not bad, but it's not amazing. So
yeah, I played Banishers too, and I won't take up too. They're identical, Vampire and Banishers.
Okay, so that's
like
fair.
in every single way. They're just one's a vampire paint job and one's a ghost paint job. So
okay.
Interesting.
Well, there you go.
And I mean that as a compliment. I'm a huge Vampire fan.
So you liked Vampire, and I actually bought it because it was I got it off of CD Keys for really cheap. It was like $8 or something on CD Keys, and I was like, I'm loving Banishers. I never played Vampire. Might as well just grab it in case I, feel the urge to go back and revisit that one, knock it off the backlist. But anyway, I think Banishers Ghost of New Eden. You guys can talk about it as well. I know a couple of you have tried it out some this week as well. But my thoughts on it remain the same. It's visually and setting wise and character wise really intriguing. I really like the characters. Don't Nod usually makes interesting characters, and their voice acting, the way it's directed, is very good. I've never played a Don't Nod game where I thought, boy, they really phoned that one in when it comes to the characters, at least.
Yeah.
So I think it's really done well. The big story turn, which you kind of know based on even just the thumbnail, let alone from the trailers, that you've got one in the world of the living and one in the world of the dead, and they're clearly like this pair of lovers who are separated between living and dead. And it is pretty emotional, man. They do a good job with it. I thought they did a really, really good job with that whole story beat, and then the ensuing decisions you have to make. I've already solved a couple of haunting mysteries, and there's decisions you have to make at the end of each of those that will either lead you down one path, which is pretty selfish, but maybe seems like what the character would really want based on how heartbroken they are, and the other path, which is like quote unquote the right thing to do, but looks like it's going to lead to heartbreak. So I don't know. It's really interesting. I like what they're doing with this.
I mean, they never break our heart in those games, so
I know.
It's never.
And by the way, the combat does get better. It was kind of at first I was like, really, I'm just going to be like hitting the attack, maybe a strong attack here or there. I don't know, but they introduce a new concept of kind of swapping between the realms a little bit, and some special abilities and some combos you get to unlock. So I'm digging it. I like what they're doing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's all the kind of older stuff I'm playing. Kyle, what about you? You said you're playing some Banishers too, right?
Yeah. I'm enjoying Banishers. I've not gotten too far into it, but I've gotten through the setup, and I like the world like that they're building already. Like they lay down the rules really cleanly. There's still a lot of mystery left to unfold, and that like the second you walk into that town, this is not like your average ghost bust. This is they're way in over their head. And I really like how the setup has been so far. So I'm sure I'm just going to continue to like this game, but I haven't really gotten to too many like big major choices yet. But like that's what these games are all about, and I think the dialogue are always great in these games. Yeah, even Stranger Things, kids talk dumb. That's why the dialogue's kind of dumb in that game.
Yeah,
kids are dumb guys.
Life is Strange, you mean?
Kids are dumb.
Yeah, what did I say? Stranger
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk dumb there too.
Yeah, they talk dumb there too. Yeah.
The kids are dumb.
They're all
dumb.
dumb.
Kids are dumb.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm always in love with the dialogue and choices in their games, and I like that. Don't Nod. I don't want to say they feel kind of lost like without Life is Strange, but like Don't Nod is still trying to find like their thing right now. And I like that along the way we got a vampire thing, and now we're getting this ghost thing, but it's still very much Don't Nod. So I'm just really enjoying their flavor of things still. So I'll probably be along for the ride for whatever they do. But I'm really interested to play this more. It just really has the bad timing of coming out right before Final Fantasy VII. So I'm trying to get as much in as I can. It's about to be like.
If you mainline it, I think you're still looking at over 20 hours just to mainline it.
Yeah. So, it's probably not going to happen, but I'll get through as much as I can and circle back to it once
The lore,
the
and
eclipse
kind of I like that you called it the rules, like the lore and the rules of the world, the supernatural stuff they've set up is really intriguing. I really like it.
Yeah. There's
not
like
a
levels
short game at all.
It's
Holy
not a short
shit.
game. Yeah,
No.
This is this is a video game. Yeah.
It's I mean, if you take any time to do any side stuff, you're probably looking at 30 hours, it looks like.
How long to beat has 42 if you want to do main and extra.
40.
Yeah. I thought I was signing up for like a 10, 12
Vampire
hour
was like
experience.
30, if like you did everything, like 20 if you really kind of cruise through it,
Right.
So this is a bigger game, it feels like, and it automatically felt like, I don't know, I guess Vampire felt kind of big too. Again, they feel similar in the ways that they're like open areas or worlds kind of feel like there is kind of like you can kind of go anywhere, but maybe sometimes like you'll run across a bad guy who's like a little too strong and you're like, maybe I'll come back here in a little bit. That's more Vampire. Anyways, really enjoying that game. Last week when I was off, I was able to beat Grand Blue Fantasy, whatever, the one that's not the fighter. Sure.
That's the one.
Sure.
Dot hack, I think it's in there somewhere.
Dot hack.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love this game. I thought it had a fantastic like campaign. I'm not saying like the story will blow you away, but like they put in a lot of like greatest hits, that you have to usually experience over the span of like a 90-hour JRPG, all baked into what was ultimately just a 15-hour RPG for me. And I did all the side stuff. So, a lot of the stuff is in the end game where it's multiplayer focused and stuff like that. But the campaign is excellent and the combat's excellent. There are just ridiculously huge moments that are just awesome. And I'm telling you, the boss fights are just incredible in this game. Like I'm just so busy, you don't even realize what am I doing right now? Like, because there's so much stuff
feeling
going
the Platinum Games influence as you were playing?
Yeah. There's a cleanness to it. I don't feel like it's maybe as snappy as like your regular, like your Devil May Cries or stuff like that. But like you can feel that there's a quality to the fighting or the combat that just wouldn't have been there maybe if Platinum wasn't involved. So. I think it's a really pretty looking game too. But yeah, a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really cool reveals. And much like Starfield, they're not anyway and similar, but it enters the end game or the next part of the game in a really clever way. It's not just like, all right, you ended the game, now just do random stuff. Like there is a story reason for how it ends and what you're doing in the end game, even though it's just even though it's like a Monster Hunter list of missions where you're going out and killing a wave, killing a boss, defending a this, and at the end of it, you're getting a certain type of material that you can take back and use, just like Monster Hunter, to make like better stuff. There's still like a story element of why you're doing all that stuff and why you're fighting some of the bosses and some of these new enemies and stuff like that aren't in the campaign at all. Very, very, very excellent video game.
I like the demo a lot. Like, does it have any? What's that sky? Like this, what's it called?
Skies
the airship
Arcadia?
One? Yeah. Does it have vibes of that?
There's moments that it feels like Skies of Arcadia because you're in like sky ships and there's a lot of levels where you're like fighting on your like deck, or like fighting on other people's decks as you're ramming into them and your characters are like jumping on. Like it's really
you're not
really
doing
cool.
turn-based combat with the ship.
No, you're never fighting with the ship. There may be moments where you might be manning like turrets like on your ship and stuff like that. Okay. It's just it's cinematic. It's really cool. But no, nothing exactly like Skies of Arcadia. More like vibes of Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah. This is very action RPG, like
very much so.
Fast-paced action. Felt good too. The demo at least felt really good.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this game. It's a steal at $30-$40. You know what I mean? I am not by any means mad that I paid full price for it, but like in the way that games are now, like just catch this one down the line during a small break on a sale. Like it is going to deliver. I really enjoy that one a lot. I did beat Final Fantasy VII. I kept on calling it intermission all week. Intergrade is what it's called. This game is really hard if you just start with this game and don't start it right after you beat the last game. I had to bump this bad boy down to easy so quick because I was just like, I can't wrap my head around all this right now.
Well, there is like enough tweaks going on there gameplay wise that feels different
Did
from.
they introduce synergies here, or am I forgetting synergies for the first one?
Yeah,
we're in for such a treat with synergies in the new game.
Absolutely,
that is absolutely the coolest thing that they added in this particular entry. Yeah. And I was telling you on the chat, I was like, there's like a stretch of like an hour and a half where it's just playing smooth jazz, and like while you're like walking around in the scrap yards, and I'm like, this is awesome. The music is so outstanding in this game. The story's okay. I feel like I know Yuffie and what she's doing, and she's there to witness a lot of the atrocities of Shinra and stuff like that. And she has a buddy, and there's some stuff kind of going along the way.
Is this story parallel to the main game? Is it kind of
it's happening
back?
alongside the main game, like up until Sector 7 plate falling down, and that's like where it ends. Is the plate falling down?
Spoiler alert, not actually in the original game. So
yeah. So it is cool that you get a little backstory for her, and like the things that you fight along the way. Like I'm already like, oh, okay, well, like Yuffie's like really powerful and cool. So like I don't remember really giving a shit about Yuffie in the original series.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, you agree. I was like,
well, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying last time, because I was telling Jeff that Yuffie in the original game was optional, so you could literally end up beating that game and had never just happened to bump it. Or
she's just like in that little village that you don't have to go to at all if you don't want to, right?
Oh wow, okay.
Well, no, she's in random. So she's out in the world.
She's out in the field. She's out in the field.
Yeah, she's out in the world map in random spots. So you'd have to be running around and just hope that you catch her. Which there are spots where she's more likely to pop up in.
Doesn't she like join your party and fight with you, and then you can recruit her or something like that? Is that how it works?
So you beat her, and then there's like a whole segment where you have to like answer. You basically have to choose the right options, or she robs you, or like she tricks you again, and then she runs away. So you have to actually like respond to her the exact way you're supposed to, and then she joins your party. So,
dude, as someone who just fell in love with games that involved recruiting more characters to your party, that you had like this, that's why I love the Suikoden games. That's why I love Fire Emblem. Like I love recruiting, especially optional characters.
Oh yeah,
dude, I was all over that.
I like getting mad, like where I'm like, I have my party. Stop like introducing me to people. Like I like feeling.
Yeah,
he's really cool. I want to replace one of my forever, party members. I do.
That's
like
what drives me crazy about RPGs, because like I am very much like this is my team here, but it's like, but damn it, I like that person over there.
I am too. I find a synergy really quick. I get really used to it, and then someone really cool will get introduced, and I'm like. Anyways, I'm glad I played it. I was really stubborn about not wanting to play it, but then I realized it was probably short, and I jumped in, and it only took like 3.5 hours. It didn't even take me the 5 that it was advertised. So but I did turn it down to easy, and I wasn't doing any of the side stuff, so which there is plenty, weirdly. So really, really, really fun time. I'm glad I know what's going on with her going in, because like it's gonna make her involvement in the next part of this game a lot cooler, knowing kind of everything she went through leading up to that. Because like she went through equally as an equal amount of bullshit that everybody else did during this Sector 7 stuff.
She went through some stuff.
She went through it, and again, like she seems really powerful with the stuff that she's fighting in that journey. I'm like, oh, okay, well she can screw around with some really powerful folk here. So anyway, super cool. New this week, but it's not really a new game. But I was checking out the DLC for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. 2-3 years later, they're still putting out DLC for this game. It's crazy.
Kakarot.
It's a Kakarot.
There it is.
It's the shortest one yet. It's literally, and Dan, this is only going to make sense to you, I'm assuming. But it's literally the last half of the last episode of Dragon Ball Z, which just where Goku fights Oob, which is Boo reincarnated. And like that's it. Like that's like it? The DLC is like 3 or 4 like fights or whatever, and like I was like, well, I'm counting that as a beat game this year. I saw credits, so.
But like the articles were almost making it seem like the articles were almost making it seem like it was going to be like they're creating almost like kind of their own little like, oh, this is what happens when they fly away. Like I thought that's what it was going to be, but you're saying it's not.
Even
it's just
once I got there and like the credits started rolling, I was like, I paid $13 for this. Okay, that's crazy.
I was just gonna say, at least it was free. It wasn't free DLC.
Ew. But no, it was still fun, and I still really like this game. I've loved turning it back on for whatever reason, and I can't wait to see whatever they're gonna do next. Well, I guess it's First Limit or whatever it's coming out later this year. So good for them. Other quick hits. I'm still playing Persona. I just got to September in Persona 3. I'm trucking along very hard in this game. I just got my last party member like 20 minutes ago. What time is it? 30 minutes ago, right before we started the podcast. So
super lighthearted, not dark at all story.
I just wrapped up a storyline where a little girl's parents are getting divorced, and one emotionally abuses her and the other physically abuses her, and she's like, who should I go with in the divorce? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Go talk to a therapist.
Neither.
Neither. My job
and
is
the
done.
game's like, you better choose right. You wouldn't want her to kill herself, And I'm that's not going to happen, is it? More like run away, but whatever. And then I just got done talking to another guy who's like, I've got terminal sickness. You can beat me next week, but I might be dead. And I'm like,
oh, jeez.
I want your experience, but this seems really weird. Now it feels like I'm using you to get experience and you're dying. Like this game has a really weird way of making you feel weird about mortality and morality for that matter. So
Persona doesn't mess around with that sort of stuff.
And specifically this game, but also there's a cool robot chick and a dog party member. So like this is the wacky one, It's dark, so they have to inject some of that wackiness into it. Sure. And I miss and love that wackiness, and it does not exist in 4 and 5. In 4, you have Teddy, who's like a TV store mascot thing. He looks really stupid, but and he's silly. But that's it. And then you have Morgana, who's like a cat, I guess, in 5. So there's always like a light, a fantasy element. This one's all in though, and I kind of like that, and I kind of miss that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. I realize how much I don't remember about the second half of this game, which I'm in now, because I've only beaten it just the one time, and that was 10, I don't know, however many years ago this game came out. Loving it. Loving it. I just know that it's not going to get played once Final Fantasy VII comes out. So I'm just trying to soak in as much as I can of it right now.
That's the theme of this episode. I'll stop playing this in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I forget if I talked about it last time, but no, I didn't. No, since I was on last, I did beat Infinite Wealth Yakuza. It was okay.
It was just okay. Yeah.
No, it was absolutely amazing. I thought the ending was great. I think that game is ridiculous.
Did they do it? Did they set it up for more to come, more story?
It was very like passing of the torch, kind of.
Cool.
Yeah. There's always gonna be more Yakuza, but I think we're gonna get Judgment next. If I had to take a guess,
okay.
Judgment 3 or Judge Eyes 3 or whatever they're gonna call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one's probably going to use the Hawaii map because that's what they do. They just reuse assets, and we're all going to love it.
Oh yeah,
it's all of us.
Hawaii's great. Love Hawaii.
Yeah, I think that's all the games. I'm trying to find my notes here. But yeah, that doesn't seem like there's any other games. Oh, Helldivers 2 has been completely broken for me for a week and a half. Can't even log on to it.
That sucks.
But whatever. I put 35 hours into it before. Yeah. Before it totally broke for me, but most people are not having problems like I'm having, so that's
it a few days ago to finally implement an idle time logout.
They're kicking
just to get rid of some of the volume of people that are
15-minute AFK, and it's
fair.
It's wild that they didn't think of that. Not one person when building the servers or whatever configuring thought to put that in.
Just tells you that their expectations for this game were not incredibly high.
No.
What it seems like. And just in terms of volume of people
huge
playing.
Jump. I saw there was a meme on the Helldivers subreddit that was I'm not going to give you the context, but one of the lines in there was, because I can't remember it. I can't explain it either. But
screen share. Let's dive into this.
But it was basically saying that the highest concurrent user count in the first game was 7,000. So of course they're not going to expect it to balloon up to 700,000. That's crazy.
Come on, 4 digits, 7,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would have thought way more than that for the first one.
Wouldn't that be a failing?
Concurrent.
I don't know.
Concurrent, yeah.
I know, but still, it was a PS Plus. Wasn't it a PS Plus game? I feel like it was whatever. Anyway.
I feel like there were I feel like 7,000 is maybe like the base fans that came over.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is all.
Dang, man, because
who knows?
Now they've got a couple hundred thousand.
This is on Steam. I'm sorry. So the context is, in over 9 years, the peak was 6,744 on Steam. Yeah.
Dang.
And that was a PS game too. So I mean, you're not counting a lot of users.
Yeah. Good point. Dang.
So I don't know.
Kyle, was there anything else?
Just a 4 more. I'll blow through them really, really, really quickly. Oblivion Overload. It's kind of like a side scroller thing that was on the Steam Deck. It's fine. The graphics are really good. The Cub, I got that on Switch. It's really cool looking. I like the art design in that a lot. And it's really platformer based or whatever, so I probably won't have patience for it, but I do like the game and its setting and stuff like that quite a bit, actually.
I love the I don't know, they focus on music way more than I expected.
The music's great. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, the music's outstanding. Yeah. I like the whole feel of that game. So I just wish I was better at jumping.
I mean, me too. There's a reason I haven't beaten it yet. Yeah.
Pixel Noir, very, very fun game. Very cool. I don't know how long I'm gonna stick with that either, but very, very, very cool game.
It is cool.
It is like Mario style, Mario RPG style. Like hit the button at the right time to get extra attacks with your guns. Yeah.
Oh.
You know, I really like the style of this one, and it's stupid like detective noir stuff.
It is, yeah.
So
I love the score is like 8-bit like detective sounds and stuff.
Yeah, 8-bit kind of jazzy 8-bit. You know?
Yeah, it's
like some old Sierra adventure game.
This game walked into my office and you know that type of stuff. Right. And the best of the bunch, an older game called Cloudpunk. I got this on Steam.
I've heard of this.
This is an amazing delivery game that has a crazy open like cyberpunk world, and it's like so detailed and so dense and so amazing. It's mostly car based. You can park your car and get off and walk around and do your deliveries and talk to people and pick up stuff and get missions. And
I've not only heard of this, I played the demo or whatever.
This game is outstanding, and the music's really good. It's oftentimes like $3 when you can get it on sale on the Steam Deck.
That's wild to me, man.
The biggest steal of all time if you can ever get this game on a deal, but it's totally worth the 14 or whatever that it's normally cost. So I absolutely
thought I bought it.
Game.
Apparently I didn't.
Oh man, this game is excellent.
Look at that visual style.
I'll be laying in my bed and I'm like, I'm gonna put that on for a delivery and just
2020
do a
game
real quick.
This came out like 1 month into COVID. They were like, listen, play this.
Delivery is about to be big.
It came out in the same year as Cyberpunk, so it was kind of like we're capitalizing on something here, you know? It's pretty cool. I totally remember this.
It's like now I totally graphics. It's very, very cool.
I know this game.
I'm seeing the base, like where you start at, and they give you like jobs or whatever. Yeah, I totally remember playing this demo.
Yeah. I didn't know you can get out of it because I know I've seen this game before. I didn't know you can get out of the car.
All of it's
everywhere.
Like
you can get out
everywhere. Voice acted too, like which is totally crazy for a game of this size.
Cool.
What a surprise! Like I stumbled upon this game randomly. So that's my big surprise for the week though. That's all for me though. That's all the video games.
Nice. All right, Jeff. What about you? Watching, playing.
I don't really do games. Been playing the game of life.
I don't know why I'm here.
You know,
just here doing life, man.
No, I played I haven't even gotten close to the main story beat, the crux of Banishers yet. Like I'm so early in that game, it's ridiculous. But I'm pretty much at the stage when I put it on, and then the gummy kicked in, and I was like, I can't process this. Like I just had to stop and go watch a movie.
New things are hard on gummy.
Yeah, dude, bro, I can't. I just can't.
It's like Shane Gillis describing his drunk dad trying to watch Fox News. Like, what? What are they doing over there? Why are they bombing each other? Anyway, go ahead.
He's hosting SNL as the time of this recording. That's crazy.
That's right.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Full circle.
I just wanted to do a vibe check basically, and I'm vibing with the game, dude. I really am. I just love that. I mean, it's you referenced Plague Tale when you compared it in chat and in the Facebook group, and that is so accurate. Well, I mean, not just for the kind of gothic pseudo gothic vibes, but the pretty much same time period. Like, it looks identical.
Different countries, but
different countries. But if you look at like their garb and everything, I'm like, this feels very much like from the same era. Like if they were like, there's a plague, I would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, I mean, yeah.
I was waiting for the rats to come out of the ground a couple of different times. Yeah, it definitely. Like I know what Kyle's saying with Vampire, same developer. It makes sense that those are like
a lot of rats.
Essentially the same thing. Oh,
Vampire.
Yeah, there are.
But as I was playing, I was like, man, I really feel like I'm Amicia exploring these quasi-open areas that are mostly linear with a couple of side paths, and I've got a supernatural element to this historical fiction world that I'm in. It's just very Plague Tale-y, and the characters are intriguing, and it's not quite AAA. Like some of the faces and the animations aren't quite what you'd expect if this were like Insomniac or somebody like that. Right. But it's really good. It's still really well done by Don't Nod. They did a good
I kept being shocked at the graphics, and then I was like, man, this game just looks really good. And then I'd see one of their capes, and I'm like, oh, it's AA.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is. There it is right there. Somebody turns to look at you, and you're like,
that cape doesn't have physics.
And you're like, oh, this is AA. Gotcha. I was actually, I felt the same exact way booting it up in 4K on my PC. I was like, wait, what? This looks good.
The first
What's going on?
Scenes, like where they're smooching, I'm like, this is really good looking.
Yeah. I feel like every gameplay,
a lot with the ghosts and the way that there's particles everywhere, and there's lots of different. There's a first there's a first major story moment, which is also a boss encounter, which just the lighting and the setting of that, and when the boss just makes this move to clear the space to fight you, it's just like, dude, this is very cinematic. Like, Don't Nod tells a good story.
That should tell you. It should tell you how cinematic it is. Well, it shows you by the first mission point that you get to. You're looking for an inn, and as soon as you walk in the door, the camera follows you over the shoulder. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they're doing the God of War thing. I see. That's really clever.
It's good.
Yeah. They're doing a pretty good job of it for being a AA. I would consider. I mean, they just came off of Jusant. That's the most AA game I've ever played in my life.
I do think it's a bigger game than we thought. Not only with the length of time we looked up earlier, but like, there's a point where the game does kind of start to open up a bit. There's fast travel. Like, the open areas are much bigger.
They even have. If it's big enough for fast travel, that's
what I'm saying.
That's a lengthy game.
So I haven't on the map. I'm very in the very corner of it, but as I kind of try to move around the map, I was like,
oh no! There's nothing like coming into a game being like, oh, I can't wait for this short little cool experience, and you're like, wait a minute.
Like, oh,
I've been deceived.
I was buckling up for a Plague Tale thing where that game was like under 20 hours. The second one was even though that was longer, it was still under 20 hours, and then the first one was like 10 hours. I don't know, 11. I was buckling up for that because it was so narrative driven that I was like, there's no way it's going to be over 20. There's no way.
Sure is. I think there's a lot of optional hauntings to do as well, because there's little mysteries you have to solve are very cool. You have to find the motivation of the ghost and what's keeping them there. And
it looks like that's like
the game
half
becomes a vignette of stories because like every ghost has its own story, and I'm told they're all really cool. So
man, there's a really
when you run across something to set up for like banishing a ghost or whatever, you're like, well, I can't skip this.
Right? Yeah.
The first one you get as you get out into the world is one with a guy named Jacob. He's a trapper. That one, it's already like, oh, they're going to dark places. Got it. This is Witcher 3 levels of like crap. This is gonna be pretty gross, but good.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, is the goodness of it, because I'm over here like beating myself up about the idea of getting attached to a game that could demand a lot of attention on the precipice of one of the biggest, most attention-demanding games in the world. So whatever, it's fine. I'll play more of it, but maybe obviously not too much more. I really want to get to that main story beat where it's like the tragedy occurs, you got all that stuff. But it'll probably hook me more when that happens. Anyway,
right. Make it more painful. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Definitely. Are the quick hits? Are we bringing up new stuff at all here?
I don't care. No, we'll go over new games here in a second.
Okay, that's good. I didn't play Nightingale or anything, but there's another new game that came out that was a surprise hit on Steam.
Yeah.
I'll hold off on the stuff I'm watching too. I'll mention that I'm new stuff I'm watching. I mean, I should mention that I am in my. It's not really annual. Apparently, the last time I watched these movies was 4 years ago, according to Letterboxd. But Lord of the Rings, the extended, I watched it at the beginning of COVID because I had a lot of time on my hands, like everybody else.
Why? What was going on?
An election. I was just very busy and wrapped up in the election.
Okay.
We'll be right
What's
back.
nice about the extended editions is
we'll be right back.
You start the extended editions at the beginning of COVID, and by the time you finish them, COVID's over. Everyone's out of lockdown.
Right.
It's true.
It's true. That's so true. The election's going to be over by the time I finish Return of the King.
To destroy the ring. That's how long it lasted.
Great.
Anyway, it's the extended edition, which I've never had enough money to buy physical copies of, and I still don't. But Max, I am on the Max plan. That's like HBO Max, for those of you that don't know the stupid name they changed it to.
I'm gonna just keep HBO Max.
Yeah, it's HBO Max, guys. There's a lot of HBO. It's mostly HBO. But they have the 4K, quote unquote 4K compressed, obviously, a version of the extended edition on Max. So that's where I'm watching it, and it looks even by streaming standards. And I have like almost a gig worth of download speeds and stuff. So like I'm getting 4K. Like, I mean, at least the best version of it that app can.
So it's the next best thing to having like crazy Blu-ray copies on. You know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly. The colors really pop on those, and there's no comparison. But it's close enough. You know what I mean? Like, it's still I'm still getting like, sucked in, and like there's stuff that I don't remember. Like, how did I forget Aragorn's 87 years old? How did I forget that?
How did you forget that, Jeff?
What the hell? I was like, I got to that scene and I was already affected by substances, and he said that, and I was like, what the fuck? Did they just add this?
He's Numenorian, Jeff. They live a long time. Come on, we all know these words and what it means.
I was just like I was like, they Mandela affected me or whatever. I didn't even know what
that
that
term
term
is when he
meant.
calls all the hobbits whippersnappers. You're like, this guy's
That
old.
is my favorite. Yeah.
Whippersnappers. Doing your potatoes.
I just finished Two Towers. That's still the one I give 5 stars every time. Like I just love the hell.
That movie rocks. I know that movie rocks so hard to me.
So,
I think the Battle of Helm's
Start to
Deep is
finish.
one of the greatest battles in the history of cinema. Which
Yeah.
as I
Absolutely.
say that out loud, I go, that's not a hot
This-
take. I don't know why I just built that up to a hot take.
Yeah.
That is a
I
very
would
cold,
suggest
normal
that the
take.
build-up is probably the best in any battle-oriented movie. Period. Like the build-up to it's just tremendous, especially in the extended edition. And then there's the whole action scene before that with I want to call them hyenas. That's what they look like.
I think they're wargs.
Yeah.
The chase
okay,
or whatever the sequence.
Yeah, I figured there was like a name for them or whatever, but the things that the orcs are riding, and they call them the Isengard Watch, I think, right? They were like, oh, before they come back, Isengard Watch comes back or whatever. But yeah, that whole scene was just incredible. In the build up to that too, where it's just slow mo. They got their horses riding over the ridge, and Legolas is just firing shots, and he just whips himself up on the freaking horse like a badass.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
cool.
bro.
Yeah.
So good.
Two Towers is fantasy porn. It's not fair.
Yeah. Dude, Legolas
good.
going
It is,
down
yeah.
the stairs on a shield.
On
Yeah.
the shield,
Yeah.
the shield
Are you
sir.
kidding me?
Humor too is not often talked about because there's a lot of other excellent elements in the trilogy, but this is definitely the funniest one with the banter between like especially Gimli and Legolas and
Sure.
Oh yeah.
stuff like that.
Dude, when
They're
he
best
says to
bros,
toss
man.
me,
Very,
it's one of my
like-
favorite. He's like, toss me.
Toss me.
Yeah.
It's the best.
43.
He failed. He
He was
failed.
twitching. He had my axe in his nervous system. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I like that he knows enough about the nervous system that if he moves his axe like it moves, that's pretty smart.
yeah.
Gimli has his PhD. You didn't know that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys
very
didn't know
smart
that?
dwarf.
Yeah, and there's giant trees at the end of this movie that kill
Yeah.
like everybody.
Yeah,
so
everybody.
This movie's pretty fantasy. Yeah?
One of the Two Towers is R.I.P. because trees were mad.
Yeah.
That's yep.
The ride out and meet them part is like one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, yeah.
in all of cinema.
Right out and meet them, and then you see the reminder from Gandalf or Gandalf, don't call
chills,
me the Grey.
dude. Chills when the sun's coming up over the hill. So
Yeah,
good.
so good,
so
dude.
cool. That music kicks in. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
When you're on something that affects when you are enjoying something that affects your brain in such a way, there
Like
are
sweet
moments.
tea?
Yeah, sweet tea, definitely sweet
Okay.
tea and
Tea to
stuff like
some tea.
caffeine
All right,
drinks.
cool. Yeah.
There are moments that you're like, oh come on. There was a moment that Kyle just talked about, and it made me want to bring it up. Was it Kyle? What did you just bring up? Like
Ride
there was
out
just
and meet them.
no.
meet
There's
them.
before that. Dang it.
The
Dang
trees.
it!
The trees.
Trees.
Before that too. Damn. Oh well, it's fine.
Okay.
Anyway,
Kyle,
there's stuff that you
Say everything you already said. Go back
No.
and say all that.
How can you
Back to the
rewind
script.
yourself and just go through it again? Yeah. Check your brain browser history. Yeah. Anyway, there's moments where you're like, nobody talks like that. No, whatever.
Oh, he failed. That part?
And you just like go. You just go. What, dude? It's fantasy, bro. This is like people accept this. These franchises won multiple awards.
Yeah.
The reason why people
Yeah.
don't think fantasy's dorky anymore
Yeah.
is because of
Yeah.
these movies. So,
But there is that part of your brain that's like, they're talking really stupid. Like, I mean, in the back of your mind, you're like, in a drama, this is dumb.
It might be
But
fair to say
in
that
a
the
fantasy
reason that
movie,
the
it's
Game
perfect.
of Thrones shows were ever made. was
yeah,
because
Game of
fantasy.
Thrones couldn't succeed without Lord of the Rings
Like,
existing.
I think that's.
And I mean
actually
in
true.
cinema, not like the books. I mean, obviously,
sure.
everything, the books are fine. Fantasy in book form is doing fine,
Yeah.
and has always been doing
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, in multicultural, mainstream, the mediums of mainstream and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like one begets the other. So
Definitely. Yeah, boy, what a out of body experience I had watching these.
I bet.
I feel like Fellowship is the one I defend the most. Like Return of the King, people just say it's long, but they're not like saying it's bad.
I like
Fellowship, people always are like, it's boring, and I'm like, I can't even imagine.
I always hear Two Towers is
Love
people's
it.
least favorite.
Yeah.
Really?
For me
I
at
love
least.
it.
I like Fellowship a lot. Why I like Dune is that both have a lot of world building to do.
Yeah.
Both take about 3 hours to do it.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there like, I love it. I absolutely.
Dude, I'm sorry,
Helm's
Deep, the whole Helm's Deep section. Like, are you kidding me? Like that whole section.
Yeah, so
and then
that whole sequence is amazing.
Yeah, and then at the end,
Fellowship just does a really good job of setting everything up. So like,
absolutely,
I'll catch myself.
Then they give you like really really small crumbs compared to what Two Towers does of what the action is going to look like in this whole trilogy. At the end, when the Boromir is Sean Bean lives, obviously that's what happens in the movie. That whole sequence building up to that, and Aragorn just being a straight badass, bro.
Yeah. You only see it in the extended versions too, but you see him put on Boromir's bracers, and he wears those until the last scene of the movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah. That's only in the extended edition. I've never seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah. He when Boromir dies, you see Strider, Aragorn take him off, and he wears them to to.
It's like
fulfill the promise, that he's gonna go back to Gondor. And
even though I've seen Fellowship a handful of times, probably 5 or 6 times total, which is not that many compared to some folks, I still at times wonder, is he gonna shoot that arrow at point blank right through Boromir's face? Because it really looks like he's about to do that. That part where he's got the giant. I'm always like, I think that's going in. I think this time it's gonna go through.
He's already got 4 arrows in him. He's already pin cushioned up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, what a movie.
That trilogy is
and of course the whole Balrog section and the mine stuff leading up to it. The mine is great.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Movies are fine. Right. Yeah, the Balrog part's fine, I guess. I don't know.
It's
not iconic.
We're downplaying all of it. It's fine.
It's not a painting that people have been painting since the books have come out. The depiction of Balrog and Gandalf standing on the bridge,
It's actually, that's another thought that crosses my mind whenever I don't know, even in the slower moments, this hits my mind a lot, is what a miracle of a film production that entire trilogy had. Because I'm watching it in 2024. Movies came out in 2001 through 2003.
Jeez. Yeah.
And I'm watching it going, that wardrobe would not change if they made this movie again today.
No, it would look worse if they made it. It would look worse if they made it today.
True. That's
look
actually
at the Hobbit.
Yes.
Yeah, look at the Hobbit. It would look worse.
It would look like
crazier
cosplay.
to think about. They came out in 2001, but production on these began in the 90s.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And they shot them all back we're here. We're gonna shoot.
Yeah.
3 movies.
That's why there's no
technology was still
of,
basically 90s technology.
When you watch sequels, for example, sequels that I love and Kyle loves, and I think some company here likes, the Matrix sequels, and they're 6 months later, and I'm like, come on, Lawrence Fishburne did not age that rapidly in 6 months. Get off, get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
I love the guy. I love the movies, but this whole time period jumping after sequels. Anyway. The point is that I love that Warner Brothers was you get to make these books however long you want into movie form. Here, have fun for a decade, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Basically.
That would never happen again. Never happen again. Not with the results that we got. Anyway, I didn't mean to make us talk.
Hey, that was fun. I love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things ever. So.
Absolutely. I had to shout out Halo just because they just aired the Reach episode this week. And what a turnaround season 2 has made. Only 4 episodes in so far.
Which the reviews in the media are not reflecting that. They're it's the same bullshit show. And I'm like,
it's not, though. It feels different. It feels very different.
Yeah, it feels someone
they're
else
not making
is at the
different
helm,
choices in how Master Chief looks. So if you're a purist that has a problem with him out of his uniform.
Dude, has he even been in his uniform? I
feel like he was in it in the first episode the most, and then the rest he's just been a normal guy in pajamas. He's just
he's been wearing pajamas. Yeah, a onesie with the butthole in the back. One of those. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I mean, you have to have that. You gotta go to the bathroom.
They called it in the 1800s when they developed that technology. We gotta get a butthole.
We gotta get a butthole back there.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
Butthole from a butthole.
We're gonna keep it right here. No, I absolutely loved the last episode.
Yeah,
which is not a word I've used for the show up until that episode. So,
the premiere really kind of re-grabbed me. I was that was my second chance viewing experience because I was very indifferent to season 1, and I know a lot of people feel similar to me. And some people feel way, way worse, I would say, on the show. They're I'm not watching season 2. It doesn't matter. I'm not watching it. But I would encourage those people to go back and give it a shot because it definitely got me re-intrigued. And then the episode since then has just been building and building in quality.
Yeah, but if it's gonna bother you that he's not in the costume, like, just don't even bother. Like,
right? Yeah, if you're again,
we don't need more people complaining about that. So
exactly.
Just don't watch it.
Just for some context too, on Rotten Tomatoes, season 1 had a 70 critics and 50 audience. Season 2 has a 94 critics and 71 audience. So they both went up by 20%.
That's so weird because like
cool.
when I'm reading headlines and from critics from the media, like it's all negative. So
well, I bet if you check the average score, it's going to be like way way lower. Or something like that.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that it's getting like a noticeable bump that
yeah.
people can view.
Yeah, there were definitely some publications that noticed it, and I noticed it in the headlines. Like I don't know if Collider was one of them, but maybe Slash Film. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a publication I read, and like I was like, oh my god, they liked it. Then maybe I'm gonna like it too. Like it just kind of made me sit up out of my seat a little bit.
I like what's the spaces like Shriver's representation of Master Chief's like a real character in this. He's not some guy who's like Cortana, the Covenant, like there's like
television
real
show. They had to
there's real character stuff going on with this guy.
Yeah, they had to give him something,
Yeah, I'm like
chew on.
It's a fun show.
Great. The only other thing I wanted to bring up is progress on Masters of the Air, because this show just I haven't mentioned it since I think it premiered the 2 episodes. And I love those 2 episodes, but like we're on episode 6 just happened, and we're just, man, it's just been a ride. It's been like high highs and like really, really emotional and like really heart-wrenching lows. Like, I mean, I just mean emotionally speaking, not quality-wise, obviously. But the last episode in particular, there was a pilot who got stranded in Germany. I'm not going to tell you which one. I want you like to see what happens, obviously. So I'm not going to say which one. But he got like stuck in Germany, and he's just trying to survive, man. And there's like a brutal scene where he's getting walked through with other prisoners through a German town. I can't remember where it is, but a German town that was recently destroyed by their own bombs, like that his mission flew over. And it's just all the civilians being really mad and like getting violent, and the Nazis turning on a dime too and just getting violent. It's so hard to watch, bro.
Jeez.
It's so hard. It was like I think episode 7 was the one in Band of Brothers where they went to see for the first time with their own eyes. They went to see the concentration camps.
I think it's the final episode.
Was it the final one?
It might have been the final, yeah.
I thought there was an episode after episode 6 that was like the big battle that everybody loves, right?
I feel like it's after their surrender, and then they realize the horror that's been happening that they didn't know about.
Yeah, what Jeff and I were talking, it's like that happened. We didn't really know what was happening in those concentration camps.
There was a report.
We got oh my god.
There was like a report. I don't know if the Allied parties powers or whatever commissioned it together, or if it came from somebody in America, but there was like a report that was like, here's what's happening in Germany, and that's all we had because Germany was doing so well at media containment. That's what happens when you're
there's no
a
one
fascist,
live streaming,
right?
When
you're a fascist state and you arrest dissenters
on TikTok.
Dissidents, not dissenters. I'm an idiot. Can you cut that?
Cut that.
Edit that out. Yeah.
But leave it in. Actually, okay. But
I said cactarot or whatever, so I'm leaving everything in.
You had a little applause after that.
Yeah. Applause. I just last episode was not like the episode 5 was really action packed and in a like high highs, and then like there's an emotional low and like there's a devastating like loss and stuff like that. And then 6 is a quieter one, but you're seeing emotionally disturbing stuff, and it's just they're at it again, bro. Like, I mean, I don't know. This one I feel
like I'm having as good of a good time is not the right word. I'm having as like it is as emotionally engaging to me as the other 2 shows.
Right.
Like far and away. Yeah, I think
absolutely.
They're all very similar in terms of their quality and
character writing or whatever, even though it's like real, like you mentioned loving how they write the characters and then you had to laugh at yourself and be like, well, I mean, the quote unquote characers, they're real people.
Yeah. I was like, man, they wrote these characters really well. And I go, well, they're historical figures, they're not,
they're all real.
Like with well documented, backgrounds and stuff
exactly.
like that.
Like there was a point where something happens that's so dramatic that makes for such good television or movie storytelling. There's stuff that happens in the last episode in particular. And I was like, now, did that really happen to those guys? And like Kyle like had to remind me, bro, they're like extremely well researched in these shows They're not just up there fibbing for dramatic purposes.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they got one thing wrong in Band of Brothers, and that's because they one of the guys they said died in the show actually ended up surviving, but like every single document that was available said that he had died. So it's just one of those things where this
there's gonna be slip-ups,
and that happened to one thing in the entirety of season 1. You know what I mean? And they were still going off of what was documented. So really, like it was just. Yeah. You know, so like these shows are pretty accurate. Man. Yeah.
I just can't believe. Like, I feel like I brought this up with Kyle too, where I read a headline from some publication, might have been Vulture or something, where they were like, the golden age of television is hitting a bubble or whatever. Like, its bubble's about to burst. And I'm like, is that gonna like start soon? Because I'm kind of tired of watching all these amazing shows back to back.
I need to catch up on some stuff.
Like, I haven't felt it whatsoever.
There's so much high quality TV right now, and there's so much coming out. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like,
it's the same with the games. They're talking about like there's going to be a while before we see some of these AAA games. I'm like, you know what? Slow it down. That's fine with me.
Yeah, we can all use a break to save up money for these new 0.5 consoles and new whatever. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I will sacrifice my left big toe if PS5 Pro doesn't come out this year. Mark my words.
How'd you thought that through?
Nope, haven't. I'm going based on gut and emotion.
No. You were like left. What appendage?
Yeah, I'm glad it's a big toe because you need that one.
I did. I thought left. I actually just looked at. I was like, what do I need? What do I need?
What I need to keep that.
You definitely need your testes.
Yeah. Let's hang on to most of the stuff. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Toe.
Yeah. Start at the toes.
All right. Sorry, Jeff. Was there other stuff you're?
Everything else I have to mention is new.
Dan, what about you? What have you been playing or watching that you want to highlight?
Well, so I'm on chapter 14 of Remake because I'm going through Remake. So I'll be finishing that soon, and then I can get to the Intergrade DLC.
I forgot it was broken up in chapters.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that.
18 altogether. I don't know how many. Like, I don't know if I don't remember if the DLC is the DLC divided into chapters.
I think it's 2 or 3 chapters. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
I like that because it's easy to look up without looking, consuming spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how many chapters? 18. Cool, got it. Thank you. That's it. That's all I need. Please say nothing else.
Yeah.
But yeah, Remake is great. It's fine. Great. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
just really
stuff that we love.
So I'm glad somebody is.
We're down everything that we loved because we don't want to be too excited about it. Okay.
Listen, also
being excited about some stuff is lame and actually
so lame.
It's
loser behavior.
Yeah. And there are people in the group that are experiencing it for the first time. I hope that they enjoy it. Okay. Hope you all enjoy it.
When you add the K, I don't believe you. Okay.
Yeah, where are we going next?
No, I want them to enjoy it. Just also,
Right.
Look through an appropriate lens. Okay, just look through these things with an appropriate.
It was a long time ago. 2020 was a very long time ago, guys. Just
it was exactly. It was too long ago. The technology was very poor.
Do you know if these people have played the original?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is why with you, Jeff, because like
I start a support group with these people.
I would exactly. I with you, I was like, I just basically was like, I don't, because I know your whole thing with like you're starting to get into role playing games, but it's also still like kind of like you're picking and choosing things.
Yeah.
And that game is just, it's not nice to look at. I think you would start it up and you'd be like, this is fugly. Like, this is a fugly game.
Yeah, they should
I've
seen
screenshots. Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, they should do. Yeah.
Jeff just openly vomited when he looked at a screenshot of it. He was like, I can't.
It's not a pretty. The technology of the PS1 going from 7 up to 9 is like it's actually quite different.
Totally.
It's drastic.
It's so funny that we were like, triangles and polygons are totally going to cut it for this whole generation.
Yeah,
people like triangle hands, like I'm Cloud,
So true.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's
but back then we were like this. Looks amazing.
Oh yeah,
but look at 7
sure.
and then look at the end of the PS1 life cycle. You had Chrono Cross, like the visual difference between those type of games.
Chrono Cross.
I get why now people were like, no, pixel graphics are where it's at, because there were some dark times when we were using those first 3D models. Yeah,
sure. I agree.
But I mean, I still ultimately think and recommend to anyone who's gonna, like, if you're gonna just jump into Remake, it's like, okay, I mean, that's fine. You could definitely do that, and you're going to get enjoyment out of it. I don't know, man. I feel like you're really missing what I feel like is important context, and it's just gonna matter more. Things are gonna hit harder with this remake trilogy. I think if you play it, and then if you don't want to play it, then what Jeff I recommended, like watch some kind of video that really just tries to encapsulate everything of the original one.
And if you can't decide what video, just ask an expert like Dan, and he'll give you an actual good video to watch instead of like a 5-minute condensed thing. You'll get something a little more thorough, so you're not missing out.
Yeah, like a full season of a TV show. Of a thing. Yeah.
Because I found 2 of them, and I sent you one. I was like, here's a shorter one if you really want to skim through it. But this one, because that one was missing stuff in my opinion. That I was like, why wouldn't you? Or like it kind of just really skimmed over an important detail. I was like, okay, let's not just skim over that. Let's kind of settle in and discuss that for a second. Where the other video I think is 40 minutes, so it kind of dissects things a little bit.
I do think it's more digestible. The story's more digestible and the lore is more digestible than when I tried to catch up on Kingdom Hearts before Kingdom Hearts 3. I was
I gave up 3 minutes into that video. I just said, no, I'll just play the game. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
To be fair, though, that's 9 games deep before we even got to Kingdom Hearts 3.
I know, but you could, and I did play all 9 games, and I don't know what that story is.
Yeah. Dan, go ahead and summarize it for me.
I got
listen.
I got pillars.
Tim, I don't know if you remember. It was pretty early on with podcasting with you and Derek. I replayed all of those games, and I remember saying I remember saying I actually feel like I'm getting a good grasp of this until what's the 3DS one?
Dream Drop Distance.
Dream Drop Distance was the one I was like, all right,
you and I had a very similar journey. That game really this got wackier.
It got
somehow
even
things
more
got wackier.
It got even
because the story's pretty simple. It's evil's bad and the heartless is spreading and the power of friendship stops it. That's the story.
That's about as Final Fantasy and Disney as you can get.
It's a happy marriage of friends.
Power of
friends beating bad guys.
That is
I'll
super
be there for you.
It is, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of character stuff going on as well.
There's characters that have
it's a very once you start getting into the nobodies and people are 3 different people and things get really or every organization member is an echo or a nobody of some it gets wacky regardless of how much you understand it. It's still obtuse and bizarre.
And I feel you can play it and still have fun with weird Disney roller coasters as a big summon move. You know what I mean? All right.
When you get to the end, what am I doing here at the end? You're fighting evil.
Again,
you can always get back on track by reminding yourself, going with the power of friendship, I'm gonna save the day. That's how you realign.
I'm fighting this version of evil anyways, because there's multiple.
Right. Evil has taken over Toy Story World. We better get it out of here.
That's right. But yeah, so Final Fantasy VII, just I think we're kind of boiling it down. Digest as much of it as you want to and can before jumping into the trilogy. I honestly think it's just gonna make that matter even more. And then I finished. So I'm unless I'm forgetting something, I'm pretty sure now I am caught up with the MCU. I think I've caught up.
What if?
Does what if matter in the grand scheme of things, or is it just more of a fun thing?
No, it's actually just a really good thing that I think you would like in particular. Yeah. Animation wise, I feel like you'd like that one.
Ramifications.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
They're borrowing characters from the MCU.
Right. Yeah. Because I watched a couple episodes of the first season, and I was like, all right, this is. I like it, but
and sometimes there's crossover where I think Strange, whatever. He turns into a baddie, I guess. That's one of the What If episodes. Okay. And then in Madness, Multiverse of Madness, you kind of see a version of that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Which, I mean, that one is multiverse centric. So
congrats on getting all caught up, man. You are
what a mountain. Pro. Yeah. And there's definitely it's doing this for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of peaks and valleys. A lot of peaks and valleys.
It's not the funnest homework, I'll tell you that.
And it is fun watching them back to back, because then I can really I was for me, because of just how my brain works, and we joke about it, but it just is better for me with my brain and how I forget things to watch them back to back and be able to kind of perceive in this case the quality of this. And we've had the discussions about multiverse and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, you mentioned you got to
qualities.
be the captain. You got to be the shield basically for Captain.
Yeah.
For the
that's good.
multiverse concept. Because
I'm Captain Multiverse.
you're pro that idea. Yeah.
It seems like we're not getting anything else MCU for a minute now. Where they're taking a little bit of a break. It seems like based on their release
a
schedule.
little bit of a restructuring, if you will. You know.
Yeah.
Why, what
They're
happened?
like, how much Doctor Doom can we fit in the next 5 years?
Let's do a lot of Doctor Doom now.
And you know what? Great.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
As a non-comic book reader, I hear from comic book fans all the time that he's like one of the best villains.
Yeah.
Really dig into all of the stuff that happens with him. But all I've seen is the relatively hokey versions of the couple of big screen
He's the best villain ever.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
He needs, and you know what, dude? If Jonathan Majors hadn't crapped the bed, Kang could have been something special. But even then, he would not have had the presence that Doctor Doom is expected to have. In the
Doctor Doom was going to end up taking over for Kang at the end of this phase, anyways, because like we were always building towards Secret War, and that is a Doom storyline.
Okay.
It would have been been fun to see that.
But he needs to be a presence, not like Thanos, where he's like 5 minutes pop in.
Yeah, and since we're getting Fantastic,
like a main dude, a lot of
Fantastic Four is going to take place in the '60s, from what I understand.
Yeah,
that means they can set up Doctor Doom in the '60s. Something happens, he can go Cosmos, and he's going to come back so powerful for a present-day Doctor Doom during this time. Because they're going to have to figure out some way to be like, hey, why we've never talked about the Fantastic Four for 60 years? And why has Doctor Doom never been in, Doctor Doom's been in space somewhere collecting power. And when he comes back, it's going to be insane.
That's all.
Cosmic Doctor Doom is one of the greatest.
I didn't know it was set in the 60s.
Ever.
Yeah, that's the vibe they've been given on like the art.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like for sure, but that is like the big reported rumor is that it's going to take place in the 60s. Yeah,
that's cool.
Coming from a guy who's mostly reliable, like he's usually pretty accurate with his scoops.
Hey, that's a better plan than setting it present day and pretending like the Eternals didn't know anything else that was going on.
right.
Yeah, right. They are going to
going on.
I think you can just throw them into the negative zone, like. And then they come back and you're like, that's where we've been in the negative zone for 40 years. Like there are built-in storytelling devices in Fantastic Four to like keep everybody out of the picture.
X-Men is the toughest one because it's like you've been calling everybody human.
They already said that the X-Men like exist in a different like
they're just like okay, this is Earth blah blah blah. And
we are like that is just takes place and like you I mean I think what Dan was about to say they kind of allude to that.
Well, the last two things that I've finished.
Oh, that's right, Miss Marvel. I forgot spoilers.
Yeah,
I guess.
The Marvels. Yeah, the Marvels and then Loki season 2. So yeah, that exactly that. And I think that's why I think that is a positive for the multiverse because it is an easy way to be like, oh, so this thing that we didn't own before, well, we own it now. So let's just kind of, screw that light bulb in there real easily and just be like multiverse because they were somewhere else and now they're here.
It's a new concept now at this point in time and that version of Earth or whatever.
Exactly. You only have so many options to do that. You could do the Eternals route and just pretend like there's some one line of dialogue that will solve all of it. Like we couldn't, we weren't allowed. Okay, fine.
In the comic books, they get amnesia. You could have just done that.
You could have done that. You could do
it's written in the comic. Like you have your answer, and they're like, "We're gonna go rogue on
this."
The
concept is they're like synthetic beings too.
Yeah,
it's so kind of like
synthetic beings with different colored skin and accents.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they're supposed to be like they're supposed to have their memories controlled and emotion stunted.
Okay, so they could also do the multiverse thing, which to me at this point would also be a little bit of not a cop out, a little bit easy. I kind of want to see them do something a little different. I like the idea of them being in the 60s and now they're in the negative zone, and like there's like that's a more creative way to tell it. And then there's of course the way they did it with Spider-Man, where it's like we're actually going to introduce him right at the beginning of our new version of Spider-Man. So he's young, he's like, and then we're going to tell his story through an arc. So you can always introduce them as like brand new. Like for X-Men, they could have them be like, oh, they're much younger than the Avengers are, and they're just now coming into their own. That's one way you could do it. But if you want to have established characters that have a deep,
I wonder if they're going to end the multiverse concept with Deadpool 3, and that's why they delayed everything. Like Deadpool 3 is going to mock it to death and then kill it at the end.
Well, that's been the joke, right? That Deadpool's going to save us from the
multiverse storyline too.
Yeah,
Secret Wars is. So
I feel it. Yeah, a lot of stuff's getting thrown into the.
True.
Like it's getting thrown out.
Yeah. They already said we're not going to do Kang Dynasty. Like, well, not officially, but it's somebody like a scoops
pretty much,
it's not called Kang Dynasty.
I just imagine them sitting around the writers' table for the next Avengers and be like, "All right, so what do you guys? What should this be then? What?"
It'd be really funny
know,
if they
though.
hired
Do we
Jonathan
just have them have
Majors to be
powers?
Doctor Doom behind the mask. I think that'd be the funniest thing in the entire
He
world.
takes the mask off.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Biggest
I also
villain
think,
for
and
real.
this is my take on Doctor Doom: don't hire an actor for him, hire a voice actor. He
That's a good one.
You should never take the mask off ever,
That's a really
not
good
once. And you hire a really, 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 really good voice actor.
Right.
You know, so you don't have the expectation of being like, well, Josh Brolin's behind the mat or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
No CG.
Rumors
like,
of
just
Cillian
hire,
Murphy being Doctor
hire-
Doom. Like all
just
these
hire
things are
Alan
just like
Richson as your body, and then
yeah,
like
yeah. Get Batista, you know, and
Yeah.
get some Rick Shithouse or whatever, or a regular
Yeah.
looking guy. Doesn't matter the body
Or just
type.
get
But
Samoa Joe. He likes doing like the bodies.
we
for
got Fat
characters.
Doom.
yeah,
Fat
Fat
Doom.
Doom.
So-
I want to
Sorry,
hear
Dan.
what were your
Dan's
thoughts
trying
on-
to. I'm sorry, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, what were your thoughts
No,
on
it's
Loki?
fine.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to
yeah.
remember what's the joke that we always say. Who's always showing up in the movies? That we're always like that guy.
Oh,
Stan Lee?
Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum.
Yeah, Channing Tatum.
Oh, Channing Tatum.
was
Oh, it's like I thought we were talking about
Doctor
MCU.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Well, then you would
Channing
have to take the mask off. He takes it off, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just
He's
Channing.
like
Nothing
smoldering.
changed. Yeah.
No, what
Channing
would happen
Tatum.
there is like he would keep the mask on, but he would do a strip tease and wear only like boxer briefs and the
God damn
mask
it.
dancing around.
Just the cape. Just the cape.
and
just
the
the
cape.
Just the cape. Yeah. Gyrating about. But anyway, so the So
Guys,
I
we
actually
should write these
actually
movies.
liked watching I liked watching Secret Invasion right before the Marvels because like so while they're both not like all right, so the Marvels isn't like amazing, especially compared to Loki season 2. But man, like what a weird like energy of like freaking Fury in Secret Invasion and then going into the Marvels where there's that levity, that weird like humor of like he's hanging out with the Miss Marvel's family and it's just kind of shenanigans. But then here he was like earlier doing all this like secret like espionage type stuff that was also just not written super well. It was just kind of weird. It was just like it was such like a weird like jump there.
It was. There was some whiplash going on there for sure.
Yes, whiplash is a good word. Yeah. There were elements of the Marvels, and I guess mainly it was just the three girls there, Rambo, Captain, and Miss Marvel. I actually liked their dynamic, but weirdly, this movie is less than 2 hours. What a super
like that was
short Marvel
deliberate.
movie.
Thank God also that it was.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Very, very
I
thankful.
wanted more.
Yeah,
I mean, well, here's the thing,
couldn't,
though.
I couldn't have stood another second of it, and I didn't hate the movie. I'm just like, all right, we gotta, okay.
Come
That's
on,
the
guys.
thing, though. I feel
Yeah.
like the fact that it was so short also lends to the fact that it just kind of seemed like there wasn't like much there. So like maybe if they thought about something a little better, then they could. I don't know. It's like they just felt like they were rushing through something that they knew were kind of mediocre, which sucks because it's like, well, then why didn't you just write something better and make the movie at least a couple hours that these Marvel movies tend to be? Because I think there were some elements here and there that were, I was like, oh, okay, well, I like this, but like,
it's a wasted opportunity to have them three, who seem like extremely powerful people, two of them specifically, fight a bad guy like they fought in this one, who's like just so forgettable and dumb and like just so asleep. At
You
the
And I'm
took
sorry, Captain
everything
Marvel-
from me.
Captain Marvel literally
Right.
like fought Thanos
it would have been cool if Kang was used in this movie and not
Sure.
Quantumania. You know,
Yeah,
where it's like
that's
Kang
true.
was then beaten because like Kang got beat up by Ant-Man. This is a spoiler.
It's a-
Sorry, who gives a shit? He got beat up by Ant-Man.
Yeah.
in a
They're
fist
just
fight.
gonna go with he died
In the
It's
fist
fine.
He
fight.
got beat up by like in a fist fight. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Ant-Man's just a human. Kang the Conqueror is supposed to be like the guy who's killed like trillions of people, and like
Sure.
he gets like totally bested by asshole Paul Rudd. So
Just
it's so
imagining
dumb.
them being
And like it would have made more sense to like kill a big bad off like that, or you know, have him defeated by someone like Captain Marvel, who again went toe to toe with Thanos. You know, like it just makes more sense on the power spectrum. But
Sure, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
We can sit
except
here
for
and
the-
try and
more of the
rewrite
Marvel
these movies
stuff
all day, but it's not ours to rewrite.
I want more of the Marvel stuff to bring in a clip from Thanos going, I don't even know who you are. Like anytime like a new villain
Right.
shows up and says something like, you took everything from me. I wanted to cut to him saying that to her. I want him just to say it to every character. Like
Just an apparition of him just kind
I
of
love
floating there. Like
I don't even know who you are.
But yeah, I don't know. And also, I blame this on Disney, to be honest. Fuck that entire planet of just people that sing. Like, what was that?
I knew you'd hate that.
Unbelievable nonsense. Like, I wanted to blow my brains out.
Went on so long.
And then it ends with the joke, oh, he's bilingual, so he can actually speak English and doesn't have to sing. And I'm like, so you could have just not had the singing at all and been like, hey, this is a pretty planet, right?
Awful.
Do you want new outfits?
Dude,
and that's it. You didn't even have to.
You say too long. Too long was 0 seconds. That's beyond anything beyond 0 seconds is too freaking long. Like, what the hell?
Well, like it would have been fine if it were like a cup. Like it was not one or it was like 5 sequences of singing. Like,
yeah, it was a lot.
Kept going.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna go to a ballroom. Now there's a costume change. I'm just like, I can't believe.
It was such. She transformed. She had a dress on like a Disney princess. She literally did a little.
She literally is the princess of this planet. Yeah. Like.
Okay, so you guys just took me from. I'm kind of like the guy who's just not gonna see it, and so like it's there in the theater. I'm not gonna see it. Now I want to.
But being the guy who hasn't seen it.
Watch the end credit sequence.
No. Now I want to be the guy who prevents others from like as they're coming in, like don't go see this. Don't do it. Like now I want to actively.
You'll be a guy on the street corner with a sign.
Yeah.
Do not watch the Marvels.
Don't watch it.
You're welcome.
There's just like dumb like Marvel decisions, and I don't know how to talk about this without spoiling it too much, but like where like, oh my god, I have to close this portal, but I'm gonna close it from the other side and trap myself instead of just closing it from the side that I belong. Like, why would you need to close it from the other side?
Because they need an excuse for the end credit scene, right?
Yeah. There's just Marvel things that happen.
You mean how there was room for Jack on the thing with Rose and he just sang? Yeah.
Just like, well, we have to have the story happen, so we're gonna do something stupid and not really explain it through sense or anything.
Yeah,
so it's just stuff like that happen. That's like one example of it, and like the whole movie just.
You know what? The whole musical thing, I would have been like so down for if the movie had been like that type of zany, quote unquote. The entire movie. If it were that type of like conceptually ambitious or weird,
because it was a big swing,
I would have been like, "Whoa, this movie's an entire big swing, and not just this one sequence."
Didn't the director say like this is gonna be different, higher? What did they say?
Yeah, but then they always like
it hit every.
And then the first quarter, first half is
point.
Like,
any Marvel movie has ever come out before, like all of them.
Absolutely.
The team gets kind of mad at each other halfway through it, you know, like it just like it hits every and
then they have like
every trope you could possibly hit.
Where they're crying, looking out the window. Yeah,
it stops at every stop to hit every trope. So
but yeah, I do like
what a silly thing to say out loud.
I do like Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. That actress is like perfect for that role. She's just like very endearing, and you want to root for her. I think she's perfectly cast. And I don't know. I like Brie Larson. I know people are like, oh, she's such a too. Yeah. I think she's great. I mean, she's an amazing actress. Role.
She's an incredible actor. She's very limited by this role, in my opinion.
She is very limited. Yeah.
She showed more and more here than she
not her fault at all.
Yeah, not her fault.
She did show more range here than she did in the first one.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
We got to move on to so many other things. Are we good?
Okay.
Really do.
Right. But real quick, Loki season 2 is insane. And Kyle, I think you said when you were talking about it, like it's probably one of the best, if not the best, Marvel thing ever. And it's like up there, dude. Like what the hell? Like unbelievable. And to be honest, it was almost kind of giving me, and Jeff, you need to watch Netflix Dark. Please watch Netflix Dark, because it was kind of like almost giving me that like, you know, weird timey-wimey, like, oh, shit's all wild because time stuff. Like it was giving me like shades of that, except like Dark is like really, it's very dark, you know. It's very dark.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable.
Name. You guys
it's pretty unbelievable.
How dark it is.
Yeah, you know, understand how dark it is. Wicked dark.
There it is.
All right.
But yeah, Loki season 2. Yeah, we should have talked about Loki season 2 more than the Marvels. It's just I don't know.
I think we just talked about the Marvels more than
we like liking things. So I think we did fine.
But yeah, basically, this over here is good. It's whatever. Let me talk about the bad thing.
Yeah, right. Which leads me to my next topic, Snyder. Am I right, guys? Let's talk about him first.
All right.
D. Snyder, what do we have against Twisted Sister? I don't understand.
But yeah, it is shit with Jonathan. It's Jonathan Majors. Is that his name? Right, yeah. Jonathan Major.
Like Jonathan Miners right now, not in like a pedo way. Not in the. I don't mean to bring up. I don't mean to say the P word on the pod. I'm not gonna.
Keep going, Jeff.
Just gonna keep spiraling. And
I don't know. It is a shame because there was some pretty great stuff there in Loki that he did there with, you know, the sort of variance of himself, and it's just like, man, it is a shame. There could have been potential there in the future for some really cool variants and interesting things, and it's just not going to be there anymore. So
yeah, listen, that guy did some horrible things, but On the screen, he's always been a very compelling actor on screen. So yeah, it's hard to recast someone like that, but I still think, I'm sure that's part of the conversation. Do we recast and go? Which doesn't sound like it's going to happen, but do we recast and go because Kang is such a major part and we introduced this character? Anyway, we'll see what happens. All right. There's a couple new things that are out this week that are worth highlighting. Some things that I don't think any of us are playing, but I just wanted to mention that they're out. There's a strategy game out called Terminator Dark Fate Defiance. It's like
It's a strategy game?
It's a strategy. It's like
Are you making this up?
Why?
There's a Terminator strategy game out right now.
Why is it based on Dark Fate, though? Why? That's the most random sequel to be based on.
No one liked that movie.
No!
And it currently has 71% positive feedback on Steam.
Okay. Wow.
It's a real-time tactics RTS game.
Dude, is this like Valkyria Chronicles? Because that would be awesome.
No, it looks more like an overhead, like Commandos or whatever those kind of games.
Okay. Yep.
Old Command & Conquer.
But yeah, there's a Terminator game out.
Dark Fart of all the sequels.
Dark Fart.
There's another League of Legends story game out that looks not like something for most of us, but it might be worth a look. It looks like a
is the bubble
game.
bursting on League of Legends games?
Maybe.
It does.
But this is targeting a very young audience, or maybe like a life simulator audience. It's called Bandle Tale.
I was going to say, Dan.
My wife literally was like, so I saw this trailer for this thing called Bandle Tale. I was like, okay. And then we watched the trailer, and I was like, I actually really like the way it looks. I like the pixel art.
Love the colors.
Yeah, the pixel art, the colors pop. And then at the end of the trailer, it said League of Legends. I was like, I was like, how did I not know about this?
I forgot about this one. Yeah.
The good news there is that with these, we know that the lore story characters will be at least decent, if not really good. Because all the League of Legends lore stuff is very interesting. So anyway. Yeah. So that is out now. The last, is it Epoch or Epoch? I don't know how to pronounce that.
I've always read it Epoch.
Epoch.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's Epoch. Okay.
Yeah. So that's out. That game is, I remember playing the demo for that a while back. That game is pretty cool.
It's a Diablo, right? It's a Diablo
game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an action RPG. So that is out. I think that's getting decent.
Yeah, it's not a lot of reviews so far, surely, because it's small. But like enough for you to be like, oh, it's like 70 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of sevens.
Yeah.
Where's Derek when you need him? There's a lot of sevens happening.
He might even like this one, more than Diablo 4.
Yeah. Pacific Drive is out, and I talked about my thoughts on the demo for that a few weeks back. So that is now out. This kind of weird first-person survival game where there's lots of radio stuff happening. You build out your Ghostbusters-looking station wagon and get going. So anyway,
I heard there's port problems with the PS version of it. Like the PC version.
This is a PlayStation exclusive, guys.
Yeah.
Technically
on a console exclusive. Yeah. Because it is on PC too, but PC's running just great. But apparently there are performance issues on PS5, even though the magical solid state drive.
Wait a minute.
Flawless and.
We know whose fault that is. That's the Pacific Drive.
Microsoft. Oh. Okay, yeah.
Oh, it's Microsoft's fault.
I was going to say Jim Ryan. I was going to say it's Jimmy's fault, but
it's Phil Spencer's fault somehow.
He corrupted the files.
Yeah, it's his fault. It's because of some email he sent a long time ago about trying to acquire Nintendo, probably.
Nintendo, yeah.
He's sending an email to his drug dealer because he's always stoned. So
hey, so the second highest reviewed game of 2024, new game of 2024, right behind Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is sitting at a 93 on OpenCritic. Number 2 is this little card game called Ballatro that came out this week, and it is, I think they're moving a ton of copies. I think they're already over 250,000 copies, which is a ton for a game like this.
People are, it's so insanely difficult to predict what the public is going to gravitate towards.
Yeah, man. Word of mouth for this
Who would have guessed? It's just poker, guys, with more bells and whistles. That's it.
Yeah.
You play poker at home.
Though.
And it's very simple. It's like a 60 megabyte download. It's a tiny little game. You click download and it say
right finished. Yeah.
You click download and it right away says it's ready to play. I'm like, I didn't even do anything.
It's like it's like ordering Chinese food and then it's right there. Oh, there it is.
Downloading a song.
Before you even clicked it, it was downloaded.
Yeah. I went to install and it was like, it's already installed. We already did it.
You already have it. You already have it.
It's actually more work not to install it.
That's true.
Anyway, so it's what Jeff said. It's a card game. You're basically playing single player poker. It's a poker roguelite. I don't know which one is the right.
I think
word.
Light is right because it's not.
Light is right.
I don't know, because light is more like beginners can still play this.
Yeah.
You know, so but you do deliberately. You're going to be doing rounds over and over again.
Yeah, it's like playing. It's almost like playing video poker. If you've ever gone and played video poker, where you're just trying to get the best hands possible. You're not necessarily playing against somebody. You're just trying to go for points or whatever, or that kind of thing. So, and maybe this game has other modes or other levels later, but you're not really playing against anyone. You just have a goal you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
You have a set number of hands and a set number of discards that you can try to get a better combination of cards. A bunch of like card buffs and sometimes debuffs will kick in. So a card might now earn you a ton more points if you hold on to that one. There's all kinds of little like bonuses they can get, and you can buff them with these tarot cards that you can get as well. And you can add a special skill to, like, every queen of clubs will now double your chips or whatever. So you're trying to get enough chips, which are your points, to get past that round. It's pretty straightforward. Like once you kind of get in the groove, you're like, oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
You're trying to get points, get as good of hands as you can, and you can level up the hands. So like I kept getting full houses, and so when I had a chance to level up a hand, I leveled up the full house hand. That way, that gave me extra chips every time I got a full house. Because for some reason, the way I was discarding, I was giving myself a high. I didn't realize that, but I was going for full house a lot. So anyway.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it would consider that. All right.
Yeah,
I do wonder if
if
the reason the popularity is there. I don't know if people are streaming this game, but it would be funny if we come full circle and the thing that the people should have been streaming the whole time is poker. Like, it's just really funny.
Poker.
Just regular poker. You don't even need to do
the
video game version of poker. Just play regular poker.
Just go play poker. You're just wearing a GoPro as you play poker. Yeah.
Balatro is my favorite James Bond movie. Casino Balatro. Balatro Royale.
Wow.
Casino Royale.
I do like the vibes of it though. I feel like I'm booting up an old DOS game or whatever, and
it looks like it has that.
Like the background, the swirly kind of background thing.
And the personality of it. I feel like the old Microsoft Word 98 paperclip is talking to me or something.
That's a good point. The little joke that comes up to talk to you. Yeah.
How much is this game?
It's like
it's $15. I think it's 10 on CD Keys is where I got it.
The reason that it's not just like $5 is because one guy did make it.
Sure.
Single dev. So like he's like, I can't charge $5. I'm not gonna make anything. It's just a card game.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, I got
even at $5 though. If with how much it sold, it that would have been still nice.
This gives them support for if they wanted to include online mode at some point, which there's no way they don't do that in a future update. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard pretty much everything I've read about it. People saying like they're just calling the Steam Deck their Balatro handheld now. Like that's all they do. They just play Balatro on their Steam Deck. It's a great little Steam Deck game where you can just kind of lay there in bed with the show on, playing poker essentially, trying to get points.
Yeah.
So it's got that nice almost, and I mean this as a compliment, not a diss, almost mobile game vibe where you can kind of play it while doing anything else. It's really simple, straightforward concept. So it's a cool game.
Really cool.
I see why people love it. I really do. So pretty fun. It's funny. My wife's come in my office. Sometimes I've got this couch in here, so sometimes she'll come in. I think we're just both escaping from the craziness. So we're just sitting here chatting. A lot of times, if I'm playing a game, if I'm not working, if I'm playing a game, it'll be like Elden Ring, or recently it was Banishers or something like that. So she's used to seeing like some modern day violence happening. And she looks over and she's like, "What are you playing?" It was a really old, like card looking game.
Are you just playing poker?
I was like, "Don't worry about it. Just betting our life savings."
It's too in-depth to explain.
I put the house on this, honey.
I put the house on this hand right here. Oh shoot! Better go pack.
Whoops.
Sleeping on the couch tonight. All right, we'll be right back.
I actually don't know what Balatro is. Is that the name of the Joker guy who's talking to you? I guess I didn't pick up.
I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if it's.
What is Balatro? What is Balatro exactly?
Different language.
Balan Wonderworld.
It literally does mean Joker. Clown. It just means Joker, clown, jester.
Oh, okay.
Jester, not gesture.
It must be a different language.
That's what, from ancient Rome times, they called him a Balatro, or it might have been Balatro back. Balatro.
But yeah, you do earn cash, and then you use that to buy upgrades, whether it's for that particular run, or there's some vouchers you can buy that are permanent upgrades. Like, I always want to have one additional discard, so I tried to upgrade that as quick as I could. So yeah, kind of that roguelite thing where you can pick, I want to be stronger on this run skills, or next time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man. I really didn't expect. I'm over here mocking the concept of a simple card game taking Steam by storm, but like I do get it.
I'm in. I totally get it. Yeah. I totally get why people love it. And I think it's a good palate cleanser game. Sometimes you need these where it's in between all the big stuff, the stuff that's that you're gonna obsess over and it's gonna take over your life, and you have this little thing that you're like, I'll just play this for 10 minutes, and then 2 hours.
Helldivers servers aren't up. I guess I'll just play some Balatro. Apparently,
is it Balatro? Is that how you say it?
Balatro.
Yeah,
Wikipedia had it spelled out Balatro, and I was like,
so is it Italian? Is it an Italian word?
Yeah, from ancient Rome times. Yeah.
There you go. See, I'm learning so much today. I'm learning about Cactar, Balatro. This has been.
If you want to know something about language, I have like a weird thing about learning things from other languages. I don't know what it is.
Balatro. Okay, yeah.
I might be autism. I don't know.
And the last one that as far as new games go, that I'll mention is Nightingale's out. Listen, I fully anticipate I am going to, over time, really love this game. It is not off to a good start, and I don't mean that the game isn't good. The game has really good core mechanics. It's really pretty. I think it's got great visuals. I love the character Puck, who's kind of this fairy character. You've seen him in all the pictures. He's floating around. He's guiding you. He's teaching you about the realms, and you use a combination of realm cards in this old school, very like BioShock Infinite style machine that then opens a portal that you go through and takes you to a new land. But I've fired this game up 4 times and it's crashed all 4 times, and so I'm like waiting. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait because it's just not ready. And I understand why they delayed it. The game is just not ready. Not to be fair, it's an early access. And they decided to prioritize online play. They kind of, as a team, there's a small team, they decide between that versus offline. But the feedback has been overwhelming. People saying, give us an offline mode. This online thing is killing us. So apparently that's the source of a lot of the crashing, a lot of the struggles is the server stuff. And so anyway, all that to say, I don't have a ton of thoughts on this. It's first person. You can toggle to third person, but again, I've heard that actually makes performance even worse because that's an experimental view that they wanted to give you the option with, but they're still working on it. So it feels very early. It just doesn't feel ready. So, but I still like it, and I'm still hopeful for it because that's a cool concept. And man, the vibes are cool. The way you create your character, you can actually create your lineage. So you can create up to your great grandparents and create each of those characters if you want. And then there's a little slider scale where you can decide how much you look like each side of your family and stuff. Like very interesting way of doing your facial features and your character and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't have a ton of I built a couple things, I cooked a couple things, did my basic campfire. So I did some of the basic survival mechanics, but it kept crashing. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play more.
I can see a lot of people usually giving a lot of, like, well, it's early access or whatever. And I feel like this game's really getting taken to task because we've had 2 great early access games this year with like Power Worlds and Enshrouded, both kind of similar survival games too. So it's like I feel like maybe on any other year people have been like, it's gonna get there someday. But I feel like people's fangs are out a little more because of those recent good examples. So
I think if they would have even just come out and said, we hate to do this, and I know it's the horrible news, we're delaying this to the summer because we've just got some stability issues that we have to stream. I think most of us would have been like, oh crap, I really wanted to play that, and this is another delay. But also I'd be thinking like, yeah, but July sounds great for a game like this. You know what I mean? So like,
I know, right now it sounds like a nightmare.
It feels so unstable. Like now I'm kind of nervous to fire it up even when they patch it because I'm like, I don't know. My whole computer, my whole computer really did slow down. Like it's also very taxing on the system. So like, the game doesn't feel optimized. It's not stable. That doesn't take away my excitement for when it's ready and working as intended. I think it's really cool. I still think the concept of it is great.
I like the way it looks. Like I like just the style of it. Like a lot.
Super talented guys on this project too.
Yes.
So.
It feels like it needs honestly a couple more months, maybe even. Like I might not even worry about it until we get past some of these other big games. Get into April, maybe even May, that I really dive back in and see how they're doing with it. I might, even though they didn't delay it, I might delay my playing of it just to like clean it up a bit. So also there's other games as we've discussed. Okay, so that's it for new games. And if we could, and I'm not trying to rush, but just because we spent a lot of time on the quick hits, which was fun, by the way. I like talking about all that stuff. I also love a Lord of the Rings deep dive. I forget now. I really want to go watch that. Now that we've talked about it. But if we could do treat it like fast, quick hits of new movie / TV show stuff that's out. I'm curious to hear what you guys are watching. What's new? What's big? But I do want to get to. There's a whole bunch of headlines and stuff to go through. And then I do want to talk Rebirth before we all get too tired to keep chatting about it. So, who wants to jump in? Anybody with new movies and TV shows that are out that you want to highlight?
I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. All right. Well, Avatar: The Last Airbender live action season 1. You guys seen Avatar? So this one, I went in with very medium expectations. I expected it to be mid, and I'm only 2 episodes in, but I really actually like it so far. I'm very surprised. It obviously doesn't have the same energy. It's not going to because it's live action of the animated series, meaning some of its soul is gone without those colors, but it's still pretty high quality in my opinion.
Better than Shamalama Lama version?
Without question. I watched the new Coen Brother singular movie, Drive Away Dolls. It's okay. All right, and then moving on, I watched.
That one hurts. That one hurts a lot.
I was really excited. That's the reason that I went to see it in a theater. It was like, oh, it's a Coen Brother movie. Yeah. I'm gonna love it. Easy. It's got Raising Arizona vibes. It's okay. Anyway, Rory Scovel has a new special on Max called Religion, Sex, and a Few Things in Between. Dude, I love watching this guy talk, man. He's just so effing funny, and he's got so much of an attitude with what he says. Like he's mad his ideas are attacking him, and he's taking it out on the audience or something.
That's awesome. That's a good description. I like that.
He's just very funny, man. I love him.
I've only seen clips of him, but he's very funny from what I've seen.
Yeah, there's his bit about as soon as he starts with religion, I'm kind of like, oh, good, more comedy about religion. I'm not tired of that. Because you have to be really inventive with it, in my opinion, for me to be like, yes. But he opens with something so simple about like, back then we had a guy named Matthew. Really? Hi guys, I'm Maddie. It's my friend Pete. Like it's just that observation. He's like mad about it.
Yeah, and it's a new angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just very funny. And he's quick on. It feels like he writes it to sound like he's quick on his feet, but he's obviously just writing it. Whatever. I'm not going to delve into that thought further. Hideo Kojima's Connecting Worlds documentary. I watched that and I liked it, and I'll let Kyle speak about it more.
What do you think?
I guess I like Kojima. Yeah. This documentary is fantastic. It was really cool to watch a bunch of people just talk so highly of him for 68 minutes or whatever it was. I liked it a lot. Yeah, it's mostly about Death Stranding, but I would say it's half and half. Like it's like half about Death Stranding and half about like just his take on modern day gaming. And there was a lot of really cool stuff about like how much he was inspired as a kid with technology, only to watch technology consume our civilization in a negative way. And that was the inspiration for Death Stranding. Was like that's why that game's very cynical and very like that, because like things that like inspired him are now kind of the things that are kind of destroying everything. So I really like kind of that dive as well. And yeah, it was just a really good documentary about a guy I just adore so much. So
why was this Disney Plus? That's just the company who happened.
It's to put so random,
Sony, bro. Sony and Disney are chummy, so Sony needs some place to put its things that they make, and Disney seems like to be the receptacle right now. So
because when it premiered at a festival, I want to say it was Fantastic Fest. It might have been in Austin. It didn't really have anybody on it yet. It didn't have a distributor or anything like that. So I do wonder if it was a favor for Sony or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me.
Interesting.
It's good though. I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. A lot of insight about his childhood and stuff like that as well. So, if you were ever interested in knowing more about this guy, there were a lot of things in this documentary that I didn't know about his personal life at all. Especially with his father. His anti-war messages come from his parents being part of the war and stuff like that. That's why his games are so anti-war, anti-nuclear, specifically anti-nuclear. Obviously with Japan, World War II.
What happened?
Yeah,
I don't. Tim, you might want to sit down.
Are you seated?
Have you seen Oppenheimer?
Hey, that's on Peacock now, so I'm gonna watch that this week.
Nolan wanted.
It was really interesting to hear from the horse's mouth why his themes exist in all of his games of even Death Stranding's anti-war. That game is not about killing people, and if you do, they'll go nuclear and kill a bunch of other people. It's like thematic for the chain reaction of violence and how it begets more violence and everything like that. He's it's a theme that he's always played around with, and again, hearing that stuff from him is cool, instead of just like always wondering why he makes the games that he makes. So loved it.
stuff is interesting too. Yeah.
Is that it? Was that all the new stuff? Oh, there was a Bad Batch.
Oh yeah.
Season.
Oh yeah,
3.
Bad Batch season 3, episode 3 episodes.
Fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you liked it. Okay, yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, it's very dark. This whole season, it's not a spoiler. This whole season has been about experimenting on veteran clones.
Oh.
So they won the war for the Empire, and they were rewarded with being decommissioned and experimented on until death. Wow. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing in this kid show, guys.
What a jolly time.
We're experimenting on vets.
That works so much better with the coffee cup too. Like that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing, everybody.
And that is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about and major connections to the sequel trilogy.
Nice.
Stuff that they're setting up in Bad Batch, and the importance of certain lingo and words that have been used in The Mandalorian and other things like Project Necromancer, like M Count, all that type of stuff is all being talked about in Palpatine's strive to be immortal or cloned or whatever. So
they're drinking green milk like Luke does in 8. We get it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everyone loved that.
Like how they can,
we all love
in
watching
space
him squeeze on a space cow boob and drink the innards. Yeah, we all love that so much.
My favorite part, really.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I come to see those movies for. If there's a
Grumpy
Star Wars
Luke.
movie without that stuff in it, I walk out 15 minutes.
Where's the space milk?
Where's that too?
Where's
All about
where's that space too?
All right, some headlines, some pretty big ones this week. So let's talk about that. I think it's pretty exciting if you are a Game Pass subscriber and you're like me and you haven't played Dead Island 2 yet. Dead Island 2 is just added to the service, kind of a surprise release. They didn't really announce that ahead of time. It was just like, hey, this is out now, which is pretty cool. So that's on Game Pass.
Underrated game, definitely.
I mean, it was one of the top 10 best-selling games of last year.
Shut up, Kyle.
Is it underrated? I think it's well loved and well purchased.
Hot take. There's no such thing as anything underrated or overrated.
Oh, all right.
I mean, true,
let's dive into that for a second.
Yeah. What even is life? First off, you got to answer. You got to.
Everything is rated exactly the way.
You know what? That's not true. Every time someone says that, I'm always like, The Witness was overrated. I don't care what you say about anything.
You know what? I'm on that team.
Yeah.
You guys just have poopy brains. You guys just got poopy brains.
Maybe, Dan. Maybe
so. It's possible.
Islands of insight for the way you should make your puzzle games.
There you go.
It's on the wish list for Steam. I don't want to spend full price.
Thank you for that insight,
Oh,
Jeff.
okay.
Thank you for that insight.
I'm on an island of it. Some would say.
So a couple games that were just added this past week. Tales of Arise, Dan, is now on Game Pass as well.
Are you telling me I can do cloud version of Cliffs?
Cloud
Beautiful
Cloud
Cliffs.
Clouds.
What?
A game called Return to Grace, which I am not familiar with that one.
The Jesus Simulator.
Bluey the video game, Man Eater, which I thought was already on Game Pass. Maybe it's been on and off.
It probably came and went. Yeah.
Madden 24 will be on there this coming week, along with Indivisible, which rings a bell, but my mind's blanking on what exactly that is.
Yeah, that was that like kind of like side-scrolling looking like RPG that was like hand-drawn.
Oh, okay,
I had played a good amount of it, but eventually I just I lost interest. So
gotcha. Okay. And then in March, we're going to get Space Engineers and Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun, which is a super fun throwback.
I will take that off my wish list, and I can just play it there. Awesome.
Yeah, play it on Game Pass. Here, I think in about a week and a half, it'll be on Game Pass. All right. So I don't know if you guys saw the newest trailer for Rise of the Ronin. There's lots of news coming out about this game. We are 1 month away from that game launching, I believe. That's a March 22nd game, right? Along with Princess Peach and Dragon's Dogma 2. It's gonna be a busy week. Such a funny combination of games.
I know, yeah.
Dragon, samurais, princess in different outfits.
With a dress. Got a dress on.
Okay, saying it like the old perv guy from Family Guy.
I don't know why I did that either.
I think that's perfect, actually.
She's got a little dress on.
Pink, look at her little dress.
So they describe their combat as having signature combat action with katanas, spears, other melee weapons, and ranged weapons like foreign firearms. As a Ronin, you will battle foes utilizing these two types of weapons. Basic combat involves performing melee attacks with square, defending yourself from foes' attacks with L1 and circle to dodge. So it's not that Souls build with your R1, R2. It's going to have more of a square. Hit the square button.
Even more evidence it's not for people that are in denial about the difficulty.
The Neo games might have used square for attack too, but now I'm blanking on if that's true. Anyway, I can't remember.
Oh, never mind. I take my smugness back.
Oh, insert the smugness.
I don't know if this was already known. This was new to Tim this week. 4-player co-op for all the main story missions for the entire game.
Hadn't heard that before.
Yeah. You can play through essentially the entire story. 4-player co-op. Cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
We were saying in the chat we're gonna have to do that somehow.
Yeah,
maybe a few weeks after, several weeks after Dragon's Dogma 2. We're gonna have to coordinate a current gen playthrough of that game. That'd be really fun.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to.
We're all definitely gonna get it. It's just a matter of. I mean, we kind of want to play Dragon's Dogma 2 a little more, right?
Kind of definitely want to play Dragon's Dogma. If I want to play.
I don't want to buy that game.
Really? Oh,
what if I don't? I don't know. I don't like samurai.
That's racist, though. That's also true. So if you don't,
I mean, really, when you boil everything down, the game's gonna suck because there's multiple difficulty levels. So this just.
Yeah, I feel like we should really dig in and gatekeep that real quick.
Yeah, I mean the game's gonna just be a big hole, just a whopping pile of poop.
You know what? You know what, guys?
You know what?
I find it funny that the same people who are like, it's the developer's choice to add difficulty, and if they didn't add it, that's their choice, and we should all respect that, are the same people who are like, I can't believe these fucking softies added difficulties. What happened to developer choice? I thought that was the team that we were all on. What happened?
It's only their choice when it's my choice, Kyle.
Suddenly, when the choice doesn't align with them, they're like, nah, fuck these developers, You pick a lane. You sound like an idiot.
And the lane should be the lane of intelligence. It should be a lane of intelligence.
You sound like a moron.
You can cut that out. That's fine. You can cut that.
No.
Leave it in. Add theme music.
Yeah. Hang
on. I gotta.
Piping hot.
My cat's like attacking me. I gotta put my cat in the garage real quick. I'll be right back. You guys.
Okay. Oh my god.
Go
Tim's being attacked.
She's
you okay,
like,
Tim?
Well, not like attack, but like the cat who like I must have your attention, and she's trying to eat the cord from my headphones.
Oh yeah, why do they do that?
I don't know. Cats are crazy. But anyway, you start going through the Nintendo Direct stuff real quick, and I'll be right back.
Sure.
The Nintendo Direct stuff had a bunch of indie things, and that's it.
And back to you, Tim.
Back to you, Tim.
And Tim for the weather.
The thing that grinds my gears about the difficulty level thing is, no, we should probably.
Yeah. No, I mean, nice ribbon on that is you're a big dummy if you have big feelings about that. Sorry, everybody. Do y'all have anything to say about the Nintendo Direct? I got to be honest, for the first time in a long time, I watched 25 minutes of stuff I just didn't give a shit about.
That's so
it was not overall an amazing Direct, but
I don't know if there was a single thing that I'm sorry, Star Wars Battlefront Classic is awesome because it's the PC version of it.
I was gonna say, I looked at it as soon as you said that, and I was like,
64 players. It's PC. It's the PC version of it. In Battlefront 2, one of the greatest Star Wars video game campaigns you could ever play is in that game. You play as the 501st Vader's Fist.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very good.
Try to get fisted by Vader.
Yeah, you get fisted by Vader. Yeah, he wouldn't even use his hands. He would use the Force. And I couldn't be more excited for that because the new Battlefronts suck.
Yeah.
They got better after launch, but like
we're going negative. I like this. We're going negative.
They were both just a mess.
Okay.
But really, really, really love the classic Battlefront announcement.
They added new characters,
especially the second one. The second one where you could like do space battles and board the ships and keep fighting.
That's my favorite mode in any multiplayer game ever, Tim. And I'm not even being hyperbolic. It literally is. You're in space battles. You land your ship on their mothership, if you will, and then you get out of your ship and attack their core. And it's just this like. Back and oh my god, it's the greatest mode in the entire world. And then nobody ever did anything like it ever again. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're adding new hero characters you can control because those hero characters were awesome too. Anyway, very very fun.
Yeah, very excited for that game. Very much so. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So by the way, you guys probably already mentioned Unicorn Overlord. I'm getting hyped for that game.
Oh, I forgot about that one too. Yeah, I forgot that was going to be on Switch.
There's a demo out for that now, which I have downloaded but haven't tried yet. But listen, Vanillaware doesn't miss. Like they make.
They've only had hits.
Games always look beautiful. So
yeah, they always make very good looking games and usually really fun to play games. So I'm very excited for this. It has that little bit of like ogre battle vibes and Vanillaware, of course, game. I don't know. It just looks really cool. It looks really really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah,
get that demo. I'm trying the demo because I still don't know if I like it or not. So I'm just gonna play it and see. basically.
All right, if it's cool, I'll jump down to some other ones. World of Goo 2 looks like a lot of fun. I liked the first one a lot.
Looks
So maybe
gooey.
This is this the one that's actually a mobile game, but it's first finally coming to a console?
Was, yeah.
The first one came to everything.
Okay.
It was PC, and then it started hitting all the platforms. It's just a physics-based thing that's really silly, where you got to connect all the pieces and create structures to try to complete the puzzle.
One of the publications I was reading that talked about this was like, yeah, that's one of the best games I've ever played. And I was like, what? I've never heard of World of Goo.
As far as like puzzle games go, like World of Goo 1 is very satisfying and super fun. I love it.
Yeah. It's fun building like a bridge to like the other. If like, oh, there's a gap there, and
pretty
you got.
Sure, it was a launch game either for the Switch or something like that, and so a lot of people played it and was able to follow because there was just nothing out. Obviously, it was a launch of a console, so a lot of people ended up buying it just out of curiosity, and then it ended up being.
I think I actually played it on the Wii.
I think it was a Wii game, not a Switch. I think it was a Wii game,
but I think it did come to the Switch too, which makes sense. But like, yeah, so this will be a Switch timed exclusive. It sounds like on May 23rd. It's going to hit PC and Switch, and then come to other consoles later.
I had to mention the Ender Lilies was an incredibly well received game. I think it was on whatever the year that game came out was. It was on the list of like top whatever game of the year, and they're doing a sequel to that.
Ender
Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist. This year, coming out this year too. That's like a surprise one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. It actually looks like a different type of game. Still side scroll.
Looks like a one I would play. Yeah.
This looks a little different than Ender Lilies did.
Yeah, it's not what I remember Ender Lilies doing. That's why I didn't play it.
Dan, there's another Fantasy Life game coming out called Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. Hits in October.
I love stealing time. I'm a big fan of
stealing time. I love the letter I.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of I. I am a fan of the letter I.
There's no I in I. Wait.
A lot of people are, from what I've seen at least, enjoying the throwback of Penny's Big Breakaway. It's like an old school 3D platformer.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that homage when they do stuff like that, the like homage to those classic games, and when it actually works, because Yooka-Laylee, in my opinion, was trying to do the Banjo-Kazooie thing, and it did not nail it.
Quite do it. Which
is weird because it was the same devs. So
we didn't mention this on the show, but the Celeste devs made a free like 3D platform version of their game. Yeah. It's like a throwback to old
64-bit or whatever. Yeah.
64
bit. What am I talking about?
Yeah, you're right. 64. Yeah. Has that vibe to it, and it's free. And there's like, just go download it here, and you can launch it. It's free. They just decided to make it.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, they could have sold it for, like we've talked about before, $5 or $10, and probably got sold some copies of it, but they didn't do that. All right.
I think actually the biggest thing, unless you were going to mention Disney's the Epic Mickey.
I was going to mention Contra's Operation Galuga.
Yeah.
Like NES classic that's being totally reimagined.
It looks so good.
The demo's out, and the game comes out March 12th.
I love the.
Oh, is that what it is? It's a reimagining? Okay.
I want a good Contra game so bad.
It looks like Contra.
20 years since we've had a good Contra game.
A long time.
Yeah. But we're due one, that means, right?
Yeah.
That means we're due one.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. There's potential. I mean, I got to play the demo still, but like this is the first time I've been excited for Contra in.
Yeah.
I don't know, like 15 years. I don't know, forever, dude.
And then last one I was going to highlight, just because it's a fan favorite for years. Like some people consider the GameCube one of the best games of that system, at least. And that's Super Monkey Ball. Has a brand new game. It's not like a remake or another remaster or whatever. It's like a brand new entry in that series, with over 200 new courses and 16-player multiplayer, coming out in June 25th. So it's for folks who it's a good summer game. Silly monkey ball.
I grew playing that on the GameCube. It's a time.
Yeah. But anything else you guys wanted to highlight from this?
I was going to say Epic Mickey, was it rebrushed? Is actually a big deal, because my wife and I got that on the Wii when it came out, and it's actually a cool game, but like it's such a pain in the ass to play because there was no additional analog stick. You were playing with a nunchuck and the remote, so like the camera was just bad. It was just and it's like a 3D like Mario 64 style platformer game. But like the vibes of it is really cool. The kind of like adding what is it, Oswald in there. The idea
you did like painting with this, right? With the Wii remote.
So like if there's like a bridge that you need to like, if there's an area you need to get across, but like, you need to like paint the bridge to like actually form it so you can walk across. Like, so it kind of like uses the idea of painting stuff to like, figure out puzzles and things like that from what I remember. But yeah, if like you're just a big Disney head, it really like
D-head, if you will. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Uses
No
a lot
one's
of like
after
the old stuff of Disney, like a lot of like old school stuff of Disney, the unknowns and the lost type of stuff. So
Yeah. Yep. That's a good call out. That one does look really, really cool too. So yeah, hey man, the Switch has a lot of games coming out for it. This makes sense that they put together a partner showcase because there's a lot of third-party stuff hitting the Switch over the next several months.
Where
including
was Metroid Prime 8
including
or whatever one we're on?
Xbox, who's given up.
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah. With Pentiment.
Xbox has given up, giving up their whole freaking catalog.
They don't care anymore.
All games.
yeah,
we all like to
all
forget
were-
about the time that Sony put their baseball game that was only on PlayStation for the last 30 years on Xbox. But
Kyle,
whatever.
that's not convenient. You be quiet.
It is in fact very.
Sony would
inconvenient.
never do anything like that.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
And the PC, the PC is not to maximize profits or anything. It's
My
not
favorite thing
not a
was,
similar move or anything like
and it
that.
wasn't just folks in our group. I actually saw people like elsewhere, whether it was on Twitter or whatever. I was saying this is the beginning of the end for Xbox with these official announcements, and I'm like, beginning of the end, like the Ori games,
Pentiment and Grounded.
but like Xbox has already been
crazy.
putting their games that they own the IP for, that they didn't have to put on other platforms, but they did, including 2 major Minecraft spin-offs, both Ori games. Like they're not like holding these things so closely. Like they've been distributing these, especially the ones that they know aren't system sellers, and they need to make money, with these games. So whatever, man. Okay. So there's a Pokemon Presents, which is another like essentially direct for Pokemon coming up on February 27th.
Fingers crossed for the old school Pokemon games, right, Kyle? On the Switch Online thing. That's what I want. I want red and blue and yellow, gold, silver on there. Give me this.
Sure. I won't play him again. I've played this game so many times. That would be really cool, though. Complete the library. I would love just like a functional remake, even though they've done this 1,000 times, of like yellow or red or blue. That isn't big brain, so it's not going to run at like 2 frames per second. It is just like a good-looking traditional.
Well, let's go.
Pokemon
Eevee
game.
and Pikachu are pretty much that.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I know they've done this 1,000 times before, but like if they did something like that for one of the many original style,
like
Pokemon
Gold and
games.
Silver actually would be.
We haven't done
awesome.
Gold and Silver yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, there's Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but those were the.
I don't count those. Those were like advanced upgrades or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking like
Dude, some of the
More
DS
modern.
ones were amazing, like Black and White and Diamond and
I love
Pearl.
Black and
Like,
White.
those were all really fun.
Love Diamond and Pearl. Yeah.
I think it would be rad to have the old one specifically, also because it would be one you could connect them, like being able to catch the old ones and have that all digitally, like you could transfer it to the new Pokemon. It makes it much easier. And utilizing today's technology with online, being able to trade and battle much more easily. I think that would just be really rad.
Swear to God, if they announce another like open world game and they're like, we're doing this again, I'm gonna lose.
I think they'll announce something for holiday, whether it's a remake or reimagining or collection or a new game. Who knows? But there will be a.
It's every off year is a remake, so I imagine we're on a remake year.
So like, when was the last Pokemon game? Wasn't it in 2022?
The Hawk Girl.
It was 2022, yeah, because 2023 was all DLC.
Right. So Scarlet and Violet. So
it could. I'd be surprised if it was 2 brand new ones. I feel like we're looking at.
I think it's they always off like always.
Yeah.
So we'll.
So what was after Diamond?
Arceus is like the one that doesn't fit in the formula for sure. So, but.
What was after Diamond and Pearl? Was that Black and White?
X and Y.
Oh, maybe X and Y. So that would be the next ones that they would remake then.
They did 2.
X and Y was on Switch though. I thought.
Oh yeah, I think.
Yeah, those are Switch games. They're not going to remake those.
No, those are DS.
X and Y.
3DS games, right?
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe they are. Yeah.
But they did Black and White and then Black and White 2. So that actually had 2 full-on entries, which is interesting to me. They made sequels for those. Anyway, Pokemon stuff happening.
Pokemon,
and then there's a lot of rumors swirling about Hi-Fi Rush. We even talked about it maybe coming out to Switch. But now it's starting to seem more and more like there's apparently some pretty credible rumors around it being a planned launch title with Switch 2 in 2025.
What?
So, which is fine.
But the game is ass because Microsoft made it. So clearly it should be.
It's embarrassing. They shouldn't have even made it because of who owns them. I get it. And I agree with you. That being said, that game is awesome. And even 2 years after its original release would be a really fun, like, oh, that's a cool one to launch with. Like, it's just a nice feather in the cap for Nintendo to point at. Here's another launch title with our new system. It's just a really fun one. It makes sense to me on a Nintendo system. Like it just feels very whimsical and lighthearted, and it has a Nintendo vibe to it in some ways. So I love it. I love that game. So, hey, and the least shocking news ever when it comes to wrestling stuff, at least, Brock Lesnar and Vince McMahon will not be playable in WWE 2K24.
What?
What's they do?
They're bad boys.
What do they do?
They're not nice.
You might want to Google. You know what? Don't Google details, but just Google for the headline. They're not.
Yeah.
Don't.
Is this still? Does that mean that Undertaker is still undefeated? If we're scrubbing Brock Lesnar from the.
Kyle, I love that. Yeah,
I've seen the meme of that, and like somebody photoshopped him smiling. And he's like in the ring, and it says 21-0 or whatever the number would have been.
Dude,
instead of looking like he lost, it's great.
I love that, which I still think was a dumb decision. I understand what they were doing.
Such a dumb. We're gonna retire this guy. Let's ruin his legacy.
You know who it was that said we're gonna do it this way? It was Vince completely. So I'm just saying Vince deserved everything that's coming to him right now.
Because of that.
It's all just that specifically.
Just that.
Totally agree. Oh man,
he's got a poop. All right.
God damn. He's got a poop.
All right, a couple quick hits, and then we'll talk about the Elden Ring stuff, and then we'll go into full-on Final Fantasy hype. There's some free Prince of Persia updates on the way. The developer confirmed, like, even though that game didn't sell the numbers they were hoping, I think they are hoping it'll have legs, which there's a good chance, in my opinion, that it will, especially as it gets some sales. The word of mouth on that game is so strong, and the reviews are so strong. I do think more people over the course of the year will dive into that game at some point. Prince of Persia Lost Crown is truly excellent. And they are adding new content, new modes, new challenges. They've got some stuff planned as free updates that they're going to be rolling out pretty soon, which is cool. I'm glad to hear that because I was a little nervous that, crap, this is one and done because it didn't sell enough. They're never going to do it again. Sounds like there's some hope there, which is good. On the opposite side of hope, Warner Brothers says that Suicide Squad has fallen short of expectations.
What?
Oh, duh.
Tends to be shocked.
Are you serious?
What?
Anyway, here's Harry Potter again.
Yeah. WB's just they're sitting there with their arm around Harry Potter and Suicide Squad.
Do you think they learned the lesson? They're like, Harry Potter, we put that game out with no microtransactions, best-selling game of all time, one of them.
Story.
However, Suicide Squad totally failed as a games as a service game. Yeah, like, do you think they learned a lesson here, or am I just being wishful?
And hopefully,
wishful completely.
I would love
they
to think
lost
that they
money
did,
from Max, and they're like, well, unfortunately, we had a loss, and I wonder why. It's because you're pulling content, you freaking morons. Like, I mean, they're still so clueless about or refusing to. I don't know. There's some level of narcissism.
Here's
there.
my headcanon for Rocksteady, because I still have hope that they're going to make some incredible games for us in the future.
Mm-hmm.
My headcanon is that they actually had a pretty great game that the WB execs hijacked and forced them to fit things in, lengthening the development time, breaking things that could have been great and making it mediocre. In my head, it's all because of the suits that came in and said, this needs to make more money. And I hope that them seeing how this does not work and how well Hogwarts did work, it's like, oh, we got some incredible IP. We should just let gamers experience these as if they're cinematic, like interactive cinematic experiences, because that's kind of what people want. I want to live in the Hogwarts world. I want to live in the honestly, the Suicide Squad world. Let me be one of them in a single player story driven game. Whatever. We'll see what happens in the future.
Could you imagine?
Do another Batman game. I guess
it's a
people
good of
like
an idea.
that
They're going to
character
turn
or
it down.
something.
They don't want
People like Batman a little bit. Do a Batman game.
What they're going to do is lay off half of that team, which would be terrible. That team's been around
no
for a
one's
while.
ever going to fund them ever again. Like,
they're going to sell them to Embracer.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, boy.
The unembraced.
Yeah.
Feel the embrace.
I already mentioned this earlier, but yeah, Nightingale Studio did put out a release saying that they're prioritizing an offline mode following fan feedback and a whole bunch of other fixes. Like, so they're working on stuff. They're aware that it's not going as smoothly as fans had hoped, which is why it's got a mixed review rating on Steam.
I saw that rating today, and I was like,
ooh. If you look through the reviews, I can't really find any. There might be some, but I couldn't really find any that were about the core gameplay or ideas being bad. It's all about connection, crashing, stability. It's all a problem. So
yeah.
All right. We did get and I love the way From Software does stuff. They're just kind of other than Rockstar, there's not many companies who just kind of have so much confidence in their content. They're just like, oh yeah, tomorrow we're gonna put out a trailer. Don't worry about it.
Sure.
And then they put out the trailer. They're like, yeah, you can buy it if you want. It's gonna be great. Doesn't matter. Like, it just seems so like
Rockstar.
Yeah, I feel like Rockstar can do it, and I feel like like Ubisoft and EA and these other companies, they're always patting themselves on the back as they build up to a big thing, and it's these huge like things. And companies like Rockstar and FromSoft are like, here's the trailer, do whatever you want to do.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be
know.
so anyway, so they put out a trailer for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, which was announced a good while ago. The game, of course, came out almost 2 years ago. So it's been a minute, and people are speculating, have been for a long time, what in the world this is going to be. They look at past Dark Souls and Bloodborne expansions and DLC, and they've released a whole different variety of things. Some of them, I think the old Hunters for Bloodborne, similar to this, was originally going to be 2 DLC packs. They turned into one big expansion that everyone liking. Was a much bigger expansion than they anticipated. Sounds like this is similar. This is like a huge expansion. If you've played the base game, that whole opening area called Limgrave, which includes, there's even an extra bonus island down to the south. So there's a whole bunch of areas in Limgrave. They're saying that the new area is about the size of that opening part of the map. So it's
good. That because it's a small game, so they need
game.
Yeah, that chunk. They need that chunk.
Area. Yeah. They're of course adding a ton of new powers, weapons, bosses, all that kind of stuff. Even just in the trailer, you saw a ton of what looked like field bosses and then major story-based bosses. The new villain is a guy named Mesmer the Impaler, and there's lots of speculation about who he is because he kind of resembles Melania a little bit.
Right. The hair, obviously.
Is there some kind of family connection? Is he like a displaced sibling that is in this shadow realm that they were? Who knows? But the lore of it is pretty cool. It opens, if you guys played enough of Elden Ring to know, there's a character named Mikola who's Melania's twin brother. And he's kind of like the light, basically. And he's actually he's cursed to always be young. So he always has the countenance of like a really young. As Melania got bigger and older, he stayed very young. Anyway, he gave up his mortal flesh, mortal body to go to the Shadow Realm, and no one knows why. And now this character named Mog, who's like the Lord of Blood, keeps him in this egg. And you see his arm hanging out of the egg. His body's in this egg in his temple, and it's very weird. It's like, what is he keeping this kid's body in here for? It's very strange. That looks to be like how you enter the Shadow Realm, as you go to that egg and probably join Mikola in the Shadow Realm. So it's kind of interesting.
Hand a high five.
You give it a high five and you get out of there. So anyway, this Mesmer the Impaler, we don't know who it is, but he's clearly not happy with you being there, not happy with Mikola being there. And but he's got such a cool design, dude. He legitimately looks like a JRPG final boss or something with this big old spear, the snake, the very thin like red snake that's wrapped around him. He just looks so cool. So of course
I make cool looking bosses, you know.
I way overspent.
Yeah, the studio is making cool bosses. How wild, yeah.
I know. Yeah, their designs are just,
they're the best. Yeah, they got to be some of the best in the biz. Yeah.
So
very
good.
intricate and with amazing animation and yeah.
Also, the amount that Elden Ring has is insane. Like,
I know,
an obscene amount, and like it's so, and like basically they all do different things and act differently and look different enough. Like it's bonkers.
Yep.
Bonkers.
Yeah. So I've watched a bunch of breakdowns of it. People who know the lore way better than most people do, because that lore, as we've talked about plenty of times, is not laid out in the most intuitive of ways to understand what's happening. People have taken item descriptions and NPC chatter and everything, narration, and they've pieced together some pretty incredible, to Dan's point, like if you want to watch some good summaries for Final Fantasy VII, same thing with Elden Ring, there's some really good ones. And so the theories here are really cool. But anyway, this Mesmer the Impaler villain has a statue that for the collector's edition, so I of course overspent and got that. So
hell yeah.
Nice. So I'll have that. It's gonna be awesome. It looks really cool. So anyway, very excited for that. June 21st. I think that's good timing too. Give me something to play in the summertime. Although, dude, who knows? We might get some crazy announcements, and June and July could all of a sudden have something huge. I mean, but I was trying to think of like what else are we waiting for that's imminent that doesn't have a release date. And it's mostly smaller stuff like Little Devil Inside, which I can't wait for. But that could be a summer release if that ever gets a release date. Plucky Squire could get a summer release date. So there are some games that are still floating that I'm waiting for, but
dude, Little Devil, that newest trailer, like, oh my god, like I just please stop making me wait. Stop making me wait, goddammit.
Good.
Like
after you put out Final Fantasy and Rise of the Ronin and Dragon's Dogma, maybe just give us a year to play those games.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't put out anything.
Nothing the rest of the year. Nothing the rest of the year.
Maybe I am on team, maybe not.
Maybe.
For the rest of the year,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. What if Xbox decides to launch Fable this year? Huh?
On PlayStation.
I'd be so mad.
Yeah, I'd be so upset. Yeah.
because Microsoft's releasing a game. Ooh, that's the. Ooh,
yeah,
I'd be so mad
at that
idea.
What's it gonna do? Go to PlayStation?
All right, guys, let's wrap up this episode with some hype for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We are down to 5 days away. 5 days.
I got the shirt on.
Got the shirt on.
Sure.
I am so pumped for this. That is going to be a crazy day because that game comes out. Dune 2 hits theaters. I'm going to see an IMAX with my buddy.
I thought that's what we were doing the hype check for. Is Dune 2?
It's both. It's a Dune Rebirth.
Get him out of here.
Nice.
I can't wait, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be a good. I mean, this week is very exciting if you're into both those things, of course. But I'm really excited for both those things. Can't wait. The reviews on both are coming back just amazing for the game and for that movie. So, dude. Hype levels.
I didn't even realize Dune 2 was already here. It's like, oh, it's coming out. Oh, okay.
Yeah, should have had it in November, but that's okay. You know,
we should have had it by now. I could have seen it 13 times by now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
So I know there's a demo out for Rebirth, and I think for the most part, the four of us kind of know what to expect in terms of how it's going to look just from the trailers, how it's going to play. If you dabbled in the demo at all, I just dabbled a little bit. I didn't play the whole thing. But what are you guys most excited about? What should anyone who's listening or watching still, what should we be most hyped about? What are you looking for? So, of course, Dan, you give us your thoughts first, but anyone else chime in too. Like, what has you excited for this game, and what are you expecting to see when you fire it up?
It's funny because like when they first announced the whole thing even existing, I was at the very beginning skeptical and kind of cynical about them splitting the game up into parts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're gonna divide it up, and then they were kind of like, oh, so there's gonna be some new things in there, perhaps. And I was like, oh, I don't know, I feel. And then like just over time, I did that quickly went away, and I was like, yes, no, like,
solid.
And then Remake existed, and I'm like, I'm here, like, give me the extra little bits of story.
I'm here
for it. Like I'm most excited about the new stuff in Rebirth. What are they gonna do? How are they gonna, unveil things that existed in the OG one? How is it gonna play out here, and anything new that they throw in there? Because honestly, one of my favorite chapters in Remake is chapter 4, which is completely made just for that. It didn't exist in the original one, which is when you go with Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs to the top side. And you infiltrate that base because she needs like the stuff for the explosive, and then you fight Roach in there. Mm-hmm. That whole section did not exist in the original, and I love that. Like I was when I was replaying the other day, like right when you're outside of Jesse's parents' home, I stand there. I just stand there and I'm like looking around because it's like you don't get to see the top side, like, and it's just awesome. It's just such a cool vibe, and the music there is like really nice too. It just has like a nice like vibe to it, like kind of like a nice Starry Night kind of like vibe to the music in that one moment. So yeah, I'm honestly most excited to see what kind of wacky new shit they're gonna throw at us. How are they gonna break our hearts potentially, or not break our hearts, or what? Like what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Like, like.
And what kind of cliffhanger are we gonna be stuck with for a few years after this?
Yeah, exactly.
Because is it fair to say I don't think Remake had a cliffhanger so much as a tease for what's to come, but that story,
it felt like
they completed an arc for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There was
and
something...
also it was like it cemented that, like, I mean, with the whole interaction between Sephiroth and Cloud at the end, where he's just like, we're finally freed of our original fates. Like we can really live our lives and live out this new story. And like I feel like that explains how different things are going to be going forward, in my opinion. And I'm excited for that stuff the most, just to see like what are, like Dan was saying, what are we deviating to,
and how quickly will it deviate? Are we going to be like early in going, oh man, they're going different, or is it going to be like, okay, I knew this was coming, until the very end will they do some twists that surprise us?
Right.
If you know about a certain character from the original game and stuff that how at the very end of Remake, and then if you've seen any trailers at all, you're curious about this character because of reasons that I won't be too specific about, and it's like that already is like completely different. And you're like, what is even going on there? Because it's not lining up with what you're seeing with the main crew, and it's like, what does that even mean? Like, what is going on there? So, yeah, I was just like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
what are they doing, man?
I think there's a cool celebration to be had about the development of this game too. I think a couple years ago they were talking about the restructuring of how they develop video games to just make it more streamlined and more quicker and stuff like that. And whenever we're looking at a game like Final Fantasy 15, which was in development for how many years, Dan?
Decade.
Yeah, and like how long did it end up being? Like 50, 60 hours, Now we're talking about a video game, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was made in 4 years, is over 100 hours long.
Yeah.
And like they were right. Like they said that they were going to do something and they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They did figure out a way to streamline how to develop video games. And now we're getting like one of the biggest games they've ever made ever. From what the reviews are saying, it's probably one of the greatest experiences that you could have in this genre. So it's like, how epically exciting is that to see just like kind of where they've come in the last couple entries of this, long-standing franchise.
Yeah.
Even 16, they turned around in a really doable amount of time,
Yeah,
True.
they worked on it for a good while, but like when the
wasn't
game
10
came
years,
out,
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it wasn't 10 years. I think it was like 6. I think when all said and done. But like the game is like freaking smooth, man. Like that game like doesn't really
except for good authority that there was a lot of frame problems and issues.
Oh, okay.
That's what a lot of people online said. I didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had literally no issues.
I think people did have various, experiences with that, but I don't remember having very many.
Just mild ones for me. I think I talked about them in the Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah. You didn't come off negative though, like I've seen online. Where,
I was making it up. I didn't want
I've seen some people say it was unplayable because of how bad the frames were and stuff like that wasn't you. People were being really hyperbolic.
To be honest, though, there are a lot of people that are like super like there's the following of like the anti-action game too. So it's like, is there a layer of that of like them just trying to throw a game?
Well, yeah, because it was an RPG enough.
Sure,
or whatever.
That kind of nonsense. So you never know, but yeah, like I'm excited, like you were saying with the synergy stuff in Yuffie's DLC. Like I've seen like a couple of them. And like, another character I didn't actually care about in the original one was Kate Sith, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm going to be in this one, at least combat wise, because I seen like I think it was the one with Aerith and Kate Sith, where it's just like a freaking beam attack. It just looks like a Kamehameha basically, and I'm just like, dude, like what the, like this is insane. Like it's
excited for Red 13 in armor, like on the back of Chocobos.
Yes.
Like, that's gonna be
Red
my
13
favorite.
sitting riding the Chocobos.
Yeah. He just looks so goofy every time they try and make him a human, and I just love it.
Yeah, I
sweater on a dog. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I had seen during like interviews and stuff them talking about like what were they gonna do, like how were they really gonna. They're like, no, just have them like standing upright, like on the. It's just gonna look ridiculous and awesome, and they just
we're just gonna have to surrender to it.
And it's just
so here for it.
I'm here for it. It looks great. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jeff, you have the least experience overall, but playing off of Remake and everything, what do you how are you feeling?
I'm just excited to play the sequel to the 4th best game to come out in 2020.
Sure. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, that's you know what? That's your opinion, man.
So we had Ghost of Sushi and Last of Us Part 2. What else was that year?
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The turnaround counts.
All right, 4th best. All right, fair enough.
No, but no, for real though. I am so engrossed in the story, and I'll watch the recap to fully fill in some gaps that might be there after playing just Remake.
Crisis Core. I don't know what you want to do with Crisis Core, but that's actually super important as well.
Okay.
So.
I'm just not interested in playing that style of game, but I will watch a summary.
Yeah,
of
Me
Crisis.
neither. I
Yeah,
don't know
watch
that,
a
even though it's
summary,
kind of short, I don't picture myself.
Yeah. But I will
Honestly,
watch a summary of that one. Yeah.
You can even just watch the end of the summary, because in my opinion, with Crisis Core, the main meat of the story is like what happens when you get to Nibelheim. Like the Nibelheim stuff, and then after that is like, yes, Kratos, exactly.
He
yells out,
Atreus are hanging out, yeah.
Boy.
Boy.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just totally, you know, I play more narrative games than not. Sometimes when the gameplay is non-existent and it's just a narrative game, even I play those games. But this one has a stellar story, at least so far. Even for a total noob like me as well. The first game had such an amazing story that I'm like most hyped to see that through more than anything else. Because I know as long as the action's there, and it looks like it is, just like in Remake, with a little more options, obviously. If the action is very similar in terms of gameplay, I'll just eat it up. Like these are my type of games. Enjoy the combat. Yes.
Maybe you've heard about us talk about this, Jeff, but like, you know, characters like Biggs and Wedge and Jesse were like non-existent characters in the first game. Like they had like a couple lines of dialogue. Like you care about them. Like when, you know, by the time, who else is getting the Wedge Jesse, you know, treatment in the sequel here, you know?
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people. We're going to see a lot of people who are like, man, that guy was really cool in that one city. And then suddenly they're a fully fleshed out character in this game, you know? And like, how many people are we going to get there? And how many new things are we going to get? Like kind of like some of the bosses that you fight at the end of Intergrade, where it's like, what's going on with all this? Like, these super
even the main remake game, you had that
things.
Roche guy who's on the motorcycle, I didn't know anything about him. Like he's going to be in this game somehow, right?
A lot of opportunities for some really cool, flashy bad guys, you know?
Okay, now really I just remembered what Chapter 4 was.
Yeah.
Even describing
the motorcycle guy. Yeah.
As soon as he said Chase, I was like, oh, it's that chapter? That wasn't even there?
Yeah, that was none of that. Yeah, that whole thing.
That's what made me go, I got to see this game through. Like, that was like the first part. The first part that made me go, holy crap, dude.
The ending where you're like getting out of Shinra like on the bikes and like leading up to the big fight with Sam, like that's not part of the original game.
Right.
That's like the best part of the whole entire game, you know, and it's not even in the original at all.
Yeah, because in the original one, you fight that thing that you do fight in the game. That's the chase down the highway. But then you just they climbed down the end of the highway and then they'd go out into the open world, which is now what we're gonna be going out into the open world. So we're continuing like the OG one. But characters like Roach, which like there was definitely he's a cheesy like new age Square character in my opinion, but I like the idea of him because he's a first class soldier, which I have ideas of what they're gonna kind of do with him that I think is interesting, and we didn't really get that in the original one, which is, you know, and they talk about it in Remake, the what is it, the cellular deterioration and all that. They actually mentioned that in Remake. So like I'm kind of thinking that might be something that we experience with Roach. So he already seemed a little, you know, like a lunatic in one. How is that going to play out with this? Like, how much more insane is he going to, like, you know what I mean? So it's like he's going to be kind of like the example of like, oh, this is what happens when you're not Cloud and this does affect your body, like that sort of thing. Like
big time. Well, and even Intergrade, you know, started doing some kind of plate spinning for stories that are going to happen in Advent Children with the reunion stuff and stuff like that. So you have those cloaked figures who were too exposed to, we don't call it Mako anymore. It's Mako, I guess. Whatever.
It's always Mako. Stop it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like
where
Mako.
You know, like they're wandering around just saying reunion over and over again, and like that's like a big thing for Advent Children. So it's like we're gonna get like how much stuff in 2 are we gonna get that's like
that's in the was that in the first disc? I can't remember if that was the first disc, but yeah, it's them all marching forward to a certain point in the original game. They're all marching forward and then you're kind of following behind them, but they're all sort of like almost like passing out in the original one. But yeah, just mumbling reunion and all that shit.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean,
because I don't remember getting any of that in Remake, you know, and then like you started maybe they're where you're replaying.
Well, there was a couple of the hooded guys with the tattoos on their, I guess I just don't
arms.
Remember. Yeah.
Well, then edit all that out.
Okay.
Put in theme music.
Like, remember, because there's that one scene earlier on, Kyle, when what is it? Cloud is like in his new little apartment thing, and he's got the neighbor that's like, oh, he's like mumbling.
I do remember that, yeah.
And then he looks like Sephiroth for a sec. So Cloud's like freaking out. He goes to swing at him, and Tifa's like, wait, no, hold on.
And then he has like a hood,
he's just like, it's Carlos or something. I forget. She says like the dude's name, and it's like, oh, okay, he has a name. But yeah, they're clearly also kind of expanding on that and you know, kind of speaking more to that, because they also show up in, like you said, in the Intergrade DLC. That's just going to be the fun stuff. Is like this game is clearly what they probably like what they imagined back then if they had the technology of today to be able to do, like, you know, with the full voice acting and really expand on scenes and kind of explain things more instead of just, you know, written dialogue, which is what we did. We read dialogue that they just kind of put in the game, you know. They can kind of really like settle in with these moments. I mean, I'm a big story, you know, guy. We all know this. So for me, yeah, that's the main thing. That's what I'm most curious about.
Yeah. I'm excited for the countless mini games. That's the word that keeps on getting thrown around. It's countless. There are countless. There's not 12. There's not 22. There's not 32. It's countless. That's how many mini games there are.
Like the OG one had a lot.
The original did, but like it sounds like they're really blowing it out. You know, in terms of all the side stuff to do. You know.
Because I mean, there was a certain place you go to in the original one that had literally, you know, like all that stuff. But then there were things that you would just do outside in the open world. You'd find a place, and there was like, I mean, there's literally a town or whatever that's like a tower in the original one that you go to, and there's literally like a strategy game type of like mini game thing involved with that. Which they actually, I don't know if you played that in the in Intergrade, Kyle. Actually, I think you have to do it once. You have to do it once. Yeah, they give you a board game mini game version of that in this. So I'm curious to see how that's going to translate.
Which I couldn't wait to like not do that, and then I won, and I was like, "All right, I'll do this again."
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right?
I thought it was gonna be like the Witcher one, where I'm like, "I don't get this."
Sure. Yeah, but it makes sense.
Stop making me pay Gwent or whatever it's called. Stop it.
So I'm curious
how
that's
going to work. There was a Sea of Stars game just like that, where I was like, "Okay, I did the move you wanted me to, and I still don't get it. So this game is dumb now."
It's like me playing Blitzball on Final Fantasy X. I'm like, "What do you want from me? I don't get it."
Dude, I love all of these mini games. I love all of them. Even Blitzball. People shit on Blitzball.
Hey, Blitzball sucks. It's because Blitzball sucks. That's why people shit on it.
You're just bad at sports, Kyle. You're just bad at sports.
That's not untrue. Not related, but it's
I will say untrue. When you like upgrade your Blitzball team and they actually get good, you're like, ooh, you feel the difference. Like I like
Dude,
I
Titus,
played Final Fantasy X
like
maybe 10 times over the course of my life at different stages of my life. I've never gotten smart enough to fully understand how to play Blitzball. I just haven't. I don't know.
You know what, Kyle? I'll teach you how to blitz.
I won't understand it. I promise.
Do you get you didn't get the reference, right? Teach me how to blitz in the beginning. Okay, no.
I try and block out Blitzball.
The kids actually say that in the very beginning. They yell at Titus and they say, "Teach me how to blitz." So I was doing. I was doing that.
And then that cool rock song came on, that metal song.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, dude. And I love that the full cast is being introduced in this. They have confirmed that a couple of them are not going to be necessarily playable, but we're getting the full cast too, which is awesome. So we'll at least like have them voice acted, getting like who they are, like how they're interpreted in this. So I'm very excited for that too, to just have the team. Sucks that we can't play as all of them, but you know,
that's okay. We're gonna play as plenty, and all of them are gonna play different. You know, I'm happy with what we're getting. So
yeah, it's a lot.
Well, I figured I would, unless we have more hype to go, but I want to end with a bunch of quotes from the reviews that I've seen, just to like.
I haven't read any, so I'm excited.
If you're not hyped enough, some of these quotes that I grabbed, there's so many, and I'm sure I skipped a bunch. And I didn't like grab who said them. I'm just grabbing like little snippets from all the different review summaries. So unless there's something else that you guys want to get.
Tim, did you want to add anything? I feel like maybe you hadn't said.
Oh, like, as a musician, I'm hyped for the music.
Yes.
Best music in the business.
Like I said in the chat, there's 3 specific songs that I'm like, I feel like I'm absolutely going to bawl like a little girl. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like there's 3. I can't even wait, dude.
Yeah. So there's before I read these quotes, for me personally, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they do with combat this time. I don't know what you guys are talking about with the synergy, but it sounds cool. Okay. I'm excited for that. I'm very excited to see what summon elements are there and what classic Final Fantasy stuff is worked in. That's one of my favorite things about 7 was the summons were so cinematic. That was like that was the first time I'd seen anything like that in gaming. Was the summons. So looking forward to that piece. And then of course there's the major moment at the end of the second act in the original game that I assume is going to be, if not the climax of this game, then what's going to happen? So
I'm pretty sure they've unless they're just trying to like mess with our brain. I don't know why they would say like we're confirming that that's actually where this game ends is at that particular place.
So I'm looking forward to that, just because that was a there's a few moments in gaming where a story, a character moment, whether it's a win or a loss or somewhere in between, or an emotional thing. And this is one of the earliest ones that stuck with me. It's always like I still can picture sitting there at my buddy's house. We're playing the game. We're both just like, oh, like I still remember that moment, watching that all unfold.
And that's the end of disc
sadness,
one.
and then it was anger that so much time was spent grinding them to a certain level.
Absolutely, but that's the end of
like this is PS1 days. They didn't care. I mean, like, sorry. Too bad.
And it's early. Right. It's early on. It's the end of disc one. You have an entire second disc. Like of more story, like it's like, oh, okay, wow.
By the way, there's a thing it reminded me a lot. There's two games from the PS1 era that did this, and the first one was Suikoden 1. You have a kind of a loyal sidekick character who's your protector for the whole game, who meets an unfortunate demise. But there's things you can do if you collect all the stars of destiny, and then you do this little side quest storyline. You can actually choose to resurrect one person. So you can bring, so it's a really cool story moment there too. So there's certain moments where like you have character loss and that kind of thing that just that hit, and so I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm also, I love a good open world to explore. I love a good open world to explore. And so everything I'm reading is that this is a fantastic, multi-layered, wonderfully designed open world. Or open areas, whatever the setup is, but as far as exploration goes and how big it is, it sounds awesome. So I'm very, very excited for that as well. So yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm very excited to drop everything else I'm doing and just play this. So I did not do the replay of Remake like I was kind of hoping, but knew I probably wouldn't get to. But I was hoping to play it a little bit. I did play it a little bit on Steam Deck over the holiday, so I've played the game recently, just through that opening section and beat that first boss, but I didn't play super far into it. But here's some quotes from some of the reviews that are out there. Bigger and better than Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's I've seen various versions of that throughout. Well, specifically than Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, specifically that part of the end. Yeah.
Here we go. Incredible and multi-layered open world, outstanding combat, and with a heartfelt story. Those are things that are like super important to me when it comes to gaming, right? Give me a great world to explore, outstanding combat, and a heartfelt story. I'm gonna buy your game.
Hit me in the heart, damn it. Yeah. Hit me in the feels.
I saw a lot of this too, versions of this phrase, utterly massive. They keep talking about how large this game is. Like it's even, I was reading one review, and I'll give you one guess who the outlet was, complaining that it's too big and that they need to like rethink how big their games are getting.
IGN.
No. Polygon.
Oh, I was close. I was going to say Kotaku.
Talk about someone who's never on my mind is Polygon.
Yeah, they don't do grades anymore. They just scold them for what they should have done better. Do better is usually
should have been a girl.
Hashtag do better Polygon.
Do better. Surpasses the heights of Remake in every way.
Sure.
The most impressively ambitious game Square has made since the Final Fantasy Golden Age.
Wow. Okay. That's high praise.
The rest are terrible. That's what they're saying.
If you enjoyed Remake and you have fond memories of the PS1 original, you'll love every minute of this memorable character-focused adventure. That's got me sold as well. I'm like, all right, I'm in. Yeah. The first game was a smash hit. Rebirth runs laps around it in almost every way. I mean, that's high praise for the fourth best game from 2020, right?
That's high praise.
This is one of my favorite ones. This is the franchise's Empire Strikes Back.
Whoa! They did the Star Wars.
Nice. It's soon to be. The expression is soon to be almost as good as a sequel as Dune Part 2.
That's what it's gonna. Yeah.
We're gonna eventually swap out Empire.
Biggs and Wedge are going full circle. They get another Star Wars call out.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of references to this being a modern RPG masterpiece. Like a lot of different versions of using this.
It's all the M word quite a bit. Yeah.
It's majestic, immense, funny, emotional, and varied. I like all those words. Majestic, immense, funny.
Those are good words.
Immense is.
You want to hear the word varied when you're talking about a 100-hour game.
That's right.
Time. You know what
Absolutely.
You want to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I like this one a lot. Just sums it up really well. They said it's a masterpiece. Square has just created one of the best RPGs of all time.
Oh.
Wow,
dude! If you're not hyped after those quotes, come on.
Wow.
Somebody.
Those were all
just
random
they're
people on
just-
Twitter. Wow.
Those were just me.
I just said all those.
Yeah.
It was me.
I just put it into Chat GPT. I asked it to spit out a bunch of quotes about how good the game is. No, man, this game is going to be. We already know that it's amazing, and I can't wait to experience it for myself. I can't wait to put the headphones in. Kids are in bed, lights are off, screen is on, and just sit and play it until I start to fall asleep with the controller in my hand. That's what's going to happen. That first,
And then you go to sleep with your controller and do stuff to it. Yeah.
What's the last part?
We'll be right back.
I agree
Right
too
here.
quickly with you on that one.
But yeah, remake basically walked so this game could run.
I like that.
When we knew that the end of remake was going to be, Midgar, it's like, okay, well, that's a very small portion of the original game. How are you gonna stretch that out? That's what she said. And then
that one's a good one.
Jeff approves.
But like, this is where it gets exceptionally exciting, because again, like, aside from just the open world, you're just getting there's just right in the beginning of this game, and where it takes place in the OG, we're gonna get this massive lore dump, I'm assuming, and we're gonna learn so much about a certain individual, and it's just gonna freaking just keep going, and we're just gonna get so much. So it's just a setup. Remake was the setup for what everything actually is going to be happening and everything that matters. So it was just kind of
exciting to think about that we're going to get the third game in maybe 4 years too. We're not waiting 20 years to get the third, the final act of this. So that's nice too.
Yeah, very much so. And
it might be the next. This is the Two Towers of.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's thematic.
Yeah.
Best in the trilogy, meaning? Is that what that means?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the
because Two Towers is the best in the
trilogy.
Suck it.
Not that I want the third Final Fantasy VII reimagining to be lesser than this one. I'm just so excited that this one.
Actually heard the third Final Fantasy reimagining is just going to be Dirge Cerberus. That's what I heard.
That's all it is. Right. Yeah, you're just shooting with Vincent.
I quit, man. I quit.
It's just Dirge Cerberus.
I quit. I freaking quit, man. Just can't.
Yeah, man. Very, very excited for this. And so next week we'll spend a healthy chunk of our time together talking all about this game.
It is a 2-thing show where we talk about Dune Part 2 and Final Fantasy Rebirth, and then we're out of here.
And we're out.
Well,
that's because it's going to take us 4 hours. Just
exactly.
Well, yes, then we'll be.
We do have to trim some space on the Dune Part 2 part, leave some for current cinema, because we're definitely going to do an episode about that movie.
Yeah.
And I might as well ask you on for that one too. So we can just actually get deep into it instead of just.
Let's do it. I am so ready to be confused and yet also enthralled.
In awe of just everything. Everything. Yeah.
I can't wait to not understand it, but also love it at the same time.
You're I don't know what the golden path is, but I hope we see it through.
Oh,
be
it's my favorite.
Go down that path, Wonka. You do it.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll carve out 60 seconds to talk about Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake, because that comes out this week.
Please delay it. I hope they delay it. Just delay it, guys.
Last minute delay.
I am just so hyped for that game, and I'm not. It's gonna just immediately go into the trash.
I know. I hear you. All right, thank you guys for listening, watching. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye.